In the quiet of a starlit night, Bai Jing found herself ensnared in the cold grasp of a haunting dream. The room was dark, filled with shadowy tendrils crawling toward her like creeping vines. She tries to move, only to realize her hands are bound tightly. A silver-haired figure hovers over her, his lips trailing down to her stomach. Her eyes flutter open, heart pounding as his intense gaze pierces through the darkness. His intense eyes never waver as he leans in, close enough for her to feel his breath on her skin. Suddenly, she feels something cool and slippery. A serpent wrapping around her, its scales pressing against her. Her senses blur, the scene shifting between reality and nightmare. With a jolt, she snaps awake, gasping for air. Her eyes darted around the room, scanning every shadow, every corner. No one is there. Slowly, her racing heart begins to settle, and she tells herself it was just a nightmare. Or so she thought. 3 months later, when she visited the hospital to address her health, the doctor's words shattered her calm. "You're pregnant," the doctor declared, a revelation that shook her to her core. But that wasn't all. Confusion twisted her mind. She had no partner, no logical explanation for this revelation. But before she could process it, the doctor added, "There's something else. The ultrasound shows your womb is filled with scales." Scales? Bai Jing's voice trembled. Her mind raced with disbelief, trying to dismiss it as an absurd mistake. Yet, when she looked at the ultrasound screen, there it was, a dark shape, slithering like a serpent within her. Back home, as Bai Jing sat alone, mulling over the impossible, when she felt the strange sensation of being watched. She glanced around, but the room was empty. Dismissing it as paranoia, she eventually drifted to sleep. Moments later, her eyes fluttered open. The figure from her dream appeared before her, materializing in her room as if summoned. He was exactly as she remembered, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and exuding an aura of ancient power. Bai Jing's mind raced. "Are you the father of this child?" she demanded, barely able to keep her voice steady. Struggling to understand, Bai Jing pressed on. "But why me? What did I do to deserve this?" The man's face grew dark, his voice a chilling whisper. 20 years ago, your mother was pregnant with you. She nearly lost you," he began, each word heavy with anger and bitterness. "In his desperation, your father caught my fiancée and sacrificed her to save your life. I've come for an account, a life for a life," he declared, his gaze unwavering. Bai Jing's fear grew, and she pleaded, "Please forgive me. I'll do whatever you ask, as long as it doesn't hurt me." The man smirked, his eyes flashing with amusement. "Anything I ask?" As Bai Jing stood before the silver-haired man, his intense gaze softened slightly. "It's not hard to let you go," he began, "but there are conditions. You have 2 choices. First," he began, "promise to become my disciple and help me in performing good deeds." He paused, his expression hardening. "Second, because my fiancée died because of you, you must take her place. As my wife." He leaned in, voice cold yet commanding. "Give birth to my child and pass down my legacy, generation after generation." Feeling cornered, Bai Jing whispered, "I accept the first one." "No regrets," he replied. He leaned closer, sealing her fate with a kiss. Later, as Bai Jing reflected on the surreal encounter, she noticed a strange bead lying before her. His voice echoed in her mind. "Protect this bead. It's proof of our bond. Be fair, be honest, and beware of greed. And my name is Liu Longting. Remember that." Long ago, a tale spread across the region. A mysterious mountain god watched over a village hidden deep in the mountains. Rumors whispered of his power, that his blessings brought wealth and protection, but his wrath could unleash natural disasters upon those who displeased him. To keep his favor, they began a ritual, offering young women as sacrifices, hoping to avoid calamities. Over time, this tradition became a fearful burden, binding the villagers to the god with both devotion and dread. Bai Jing learned of this dark history and couldn't hide her frustration. "How can you still believe this? It's just superstition." She argued with her grandmother, who was firm in her belief. The mountain god warned me in a dream. If we stop, misfortune will come for our children and grandchildren. Sighing, Bai Jing regretted mentioning Liu Longting earlier. Her grandmother abruptly declared, "Since you're so capable, I'm leaving this responsibility to you." Shocked, Bai Jing watched as her grandmother announced her departure, leaving Bai Jing to deal with the mountain god alone. Bai Jing walked through the village. She saw an elder gently holding her granddaughter, a resigned expression on her face. The elder continued, her voice tinged with sadness. "Many years ago, one of my sisters was taken as an offering to the mountain god. Dragged up the mountain, she faced her fate bravely, even as she knew there would be no return." The elder held her granddaughter tightly, her tears falling silently as she clung to her. Bai Jing listened quietly. "Everything will go well," she murmured. Bai Jing felt a familiar presence by her side, Liu Longting. He leaned in with a smirk. "Don't be too happy. They can't see me. They'll think you're crazy if you talk to me here." Bai Jing wrestled with the daunting question. "How do I handle this mountain god?" "All gods are born from faith. The deeper the faith, the stronger they become. But the villagers have long since lost faith in him," he remarked. "The same goes for me." Bai Jing eyed him skeptically. "Can you actually beat him?" she asked. Longting smirked. "Probably. I have been practicing for 700 over years now, after all." Liu Longting leaned in closer, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I have a plan," he whispered. "Present yourself as the mountain god's bride, instead of sacrificing the young girl." He pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her. "Wait for me to come, and I'll protect you from the mountain god," he whispered. Bai Jing looked at him, unconvinced. "You better remember, once this all is over, I'll get you for this." He grinned. "Be careful, Bai Jing. Your life is now in my hands." The day of the mountain god's sacrifice arrived. Bai Jing, adorned in ceremonial red robes, walked up the mountain, surrounded by villagers chanting solemnly. As the ritual began, Bai Jing's heart pounded, both with fear and determination. She had a plan to avoid facing the mountain god. She carried a special pill, meant to render him powerless if consumed. As the ritual candles flickered, casting shadows across the walls, Bai Jing sat alone in the dim temple, whispering a prayer. But her solitude was interrupted by an eerie presence. From the darkness, a figure materialized. A tall man, cloaked in black robes, eyes glowing with an unsettling intensity. The mysterious man stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. "You are my bride. I have waited a long time for you," he declared. As he leaned closer, he whispered in a tone that bordered between playful and ominous. "Don't keep me waiting, my bride. Become mine, or your village will pay the price." A flicker of defiance rose within her. "Wait. I need more time," Bai Jing replied, stalling as her mind raced to figure a way out. The mountain god tilted his head, amused. "Why are you not afraid of me?" he asked. Bai Jing, despite her nerves, managed a smile. "Well, maybe it's because you look so handsome." He raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her boldness. "Interesting," he murmured. "Tell me, where do you find me handsome?" Flustered, Bai Jing stammered. "Well, your nose, eyes, mouth, everything seems to look good." The mountain god pulled Bai Jing close, his intense gaze never leaving her face. "Not only does my face look good," he murmured, smirking, "but I bet the rest of my body does too." Bai Jing quickly put up her hands, attempting to stall him. "Wait, Mr. Mountain, hold on a moment. Before we proceed, there's something I'd like to share," she said. Feigning innocence, she handed him a small pill, an artifact given to her by her mother, claiming it would enhance strength. She hoped he'd take it without suspicion, but he raised an eyebrow, suspicious. "And how do I know this isn't poison?" he asked, his sharp gaze questioning. Bai Jing maintained her composure as she calmly slipped the pill into her mouth. "Poison. How could I, your bride, even think of harming you, my handsome husband?" Amused, he leaned in closer. "Let's be fair," he murmured. "You have to eat half of it, too." He took the pill from her mouth, carefully split it in half, then ate one portion himself before gently sliding the other half back between her lips. But just as she took half of the pill, Bai Jing felt her body go numb, her limbs refusing to move. Shocked and panicked, she realized her plan had backfired. "What is happening? Why can't I move?" she thought desperately, silently cursing Liu Longting, wondering when he would come to rescue her. As her vision blurred, a surge of energy filled the room. The air crackled with power as a formidable presence appeared. Liu Longting had arrived. The mountain god sneered. "Who dares to spoil my good moments?" he growled. Liu Longting smirked, his voice cold. "You did bad things, and yet you speak of doing good?" The mountain god faltered slightly. "You?" he murmured. Liu Longting's eyes narrowed, his power radiating as he stepped forward. "Take a closer look," he commanded. "Do you recognize me?" As they both come face to face, the mountain god taunts Liu Longting, convinced of his own superiority and the inevitable victory granted by years of veneration. Liu Longting remains calm, his voice steady as he replies, "Try it if you dare." The battle erupts. Energy crackles between them, shaking the ground and reverberating in the heavens. As Liu Longting chanted a powerful mantra, the mountain god flinched, visibly startled. His calm confidence cracked, revealing fear for the first time. Seizing the moment, Liu Longting struck, his attack landing with brutal precision. The mountain god howled in agony, his once mighty presence now reduced as he staggered, defeated. Liu Longting turned to check on Bai Jing, only to find her frozen, her face contorted in pain. He raised a brow, noting her distress. "Did you take that pill too?" he asked. Realization dawned on him, and he softened, explaining. "The children within you shielded you, but the effects aren't so gentle on you." "Let me help you," he murmured, his gaze lingering on hers. "Otherwise, you'll end up crushed, just like the mountain god." Bai Jing's cheeks flushed as she realized his intent, her mind racing. Damn this snake. Always finding a way to take advantage. Sensing her thoughts, Liu Longting chuckled softly. He leaned in closer, his breath warm against her cheek. "It's been a long time, hasn't it?" he teased. "Don't you miss me?" Despite her inner protests, Bai Jing's blush deepened, betraying her. And in that charged silence, the world around them seemed to fall away, leaving only the two of them. As dawn breaks, Bai Jing awakens beside Liu Longting, memories of the previous night flashing through her mind. Embarrassed, she silently wishes to forget. Longting, however, teases her, asking, "How do you feel? Better than being tormented by a pill, right?" Annoyed, Bai Jing snaps, "Do not discuss it," and pushes him away. He warns her to show gratitude, hinting she could end up like the mountain god if she isn't careful. Later, as he leaves, she contemplates her situation, realizing that confronting him now is futile. She resolves to obey for the moment. Afterward, Bai Jing steps out, the village bustling in celebration now that the mountain god is defeated. She reassures the villagers not to rely on sacrifices anymore, and encourages them to work hard to fulfill their wishes. Later, Bai Jing, accompanied by her grandmother, arrives at Suo Yinggu, a mysterious fortune teller. Inside, Suo Yinggu gazes into a glowing blue orb, studying Bai Jing's aura with a knowing smile. The fortune teller reveals that Bai Jing's circumstances are extraordinary, far beyond the fate of an ordinary human. Her life was forced onto a difficult path, with limited options to escape. Suo Yinggu then reveals that Bai Jing's body harbors a powerful family connection, one that binds her destiny to Liu Longting. When Bai Jing asks if there's a way to break this bond, Suo Yinggu tells her it won't be easy. This practice of immortal family bonds has endured for nearly 1,000 years, and cannot be severed with mere words. Frustrated, Bai Jing pleads for guidance. She advises her to find the right man to marry to suppress Liu Longting. Bai Jing's eyes widened in fear. No. If he finds out, he'll kill us all. Suo Yinggu advises that the only solution is to balance Liu Longting's power with goodness, virtue, and self-improvement. She emphasizes that if Bai Jing accumulates enough good deeds, she can tip the scales, preventing herself from being controlled by the ancient forces at play. Before offering her help, Suo Yinggu asked Bai Jing to assist with a client's problem first. With no other choice, Bai Jing reluctantly agreed. Bai Jing and Liu Longting listened to the client's problem over the phone. He explains that 60 years ago, his grandfather disturbed a pair of snakes in the midst of mating, which enraged them. Since then, his family has been plagued by misfortune, seemingly at the hands of these vengeful spirits. Recently, the snakes sent dreams to his young daughter, warning that they intend to bring ruin to the family. The client, desperate, requests Bai Jing's help to break the curse. Bai Jing explained to Liu Longting that her friend had somehow found out about them and asked for her help. "Will you help me?" she asked, trying to coax him. Liu Longting studied her for a moment before surprising her with a sudden agreement. Bai Jing gasped, caught off guard by his unexpected response. Leaning closer, Liu Longting said with a smirk, "I may have been a bit ruthless yesterday. Think of this as a wedding gift, since we're married now." Flustered, Bai Jing shot back, "I told you not to mention that night, and who said we're married?" As Bai Jing and Liu Longting enter the residence, they're welcomed with reserved curiosity by their host. The man's demeanor shifts to warmth as he acknowledges Bai Jing, yet he seems wary of Liu Longting. Liu Longting introduces himself as her partner, who has come to assist, drawing a surprised glance from the host. As Bai Jing and Liu Longting are escorted upstairs, they find the daughter, Xiaoling, a young girl who appears troubled, surrounded by a mysterious aura. Liu Longting senses the dark energy lingering around her, immediately recognizing it. The host explains to Xiaoling that these people are here to help her. She glances at them with scary eyes, and without warning, she lunges at Bai Jing. Liu Longting quickly steps in, shielding Bai Jing from the sudden attack. Xiaoling snarls, "No one interferes. Try, and I'll kill you." The air crackles with intense energy as Liu Longting begins chanting a powerful mantra that echoes through the room. Shadowy darkness around Xiaoling starts to dissipate, leaving her stunned, her gaze now clear and innocent. Her father, overwhelmed with gratitude, calls it a miracle and thanks Bai Jing and Liu Longting as his daughter finally returns to her gentle self. Ma Jianguo requests if they can finish the exorcism today, but Liu Longting declines, explaining that Bai Jing, his wife, is tired from the journey. He requests to be taken to a hotel to rest and says they will return tomorrow. Mei Jianguo hesitantly offers them rooms in his own house, but Liu Longting's piercing glance quickly convinces him otherwise. Defeated, Mei Jianguo agrees to arrange a hotel for them. At the hotel, Bai Jing collapses onto the bed, visibly exhausted, muttering, "Why didn't you just handle this matter earlier, so we could have avoided all this and stayed home?" Liu Longting stands by the window, observing the house they visited. He comments that there's no real curse on the property itself, but suspects something much deeper involving the family. He remarks on how unusual it is that Mei Jianguo could perceive him as a normal person, speculating that the family may have offered something significant, possibly eternal life, in exchange for spiritual sight. Bai Jing shares her observations, asking, "Was the girl just pretending to be possessed? And what about the strange smell of snakes in the house?" Liu Longting, with a dark expression, concludes that they were likely lured into this situation for a specific reason. "The real target," he says ominously, "is us." Bai Jing is taken aback, wondering why they, of all people, were targeted, especially as they haven't caused any harm to this family. Liu Longting reflects that seeking vengeance isn't always about holding a grudge. It can simply be a matter of necessity. He shares his suspicion that Ma Jianguo might have sinister intentions, potentially using them to sustain his own immortality. Meanwhile, Bai Jing's thoughts drift as she watches him, appreciating his form and charm, with her cheeks tinged with a slight blush. Unable to resist, Bai Jing's imagination gets the best of her, comparing Liu Longting to a model she might see on TV. However, Liu Longting casually asks for his clothes, which she had left at the door. Flustered, she responds. But before she can hand them over, he steps out, catching her off guard with his bare presence. She stammers, demanding he cover up quickly. Unperturbed by her reaction, Liu Longting calmly steps closer. He leans in, asking her if she can still detect the fishy smell on his skin, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Blushing and a little breathless, Bai Jing confirms it's faint, but he inches even closer. Bai Jing's heart races as Liu Longting pulls her close, his lips capturing hers in a deep, lingering kiss. Just as the moment intensifies, a sudden knock on the door interrupts them. Liu Longting pulls back, visibly annoyed, his gaze darkening as he calls out, "Who's there?" Opening the door, they find the client, Ma Jiangguo, in a state of panic. He pleads with Bai Jing, "Please save my daughter. After you left, the evil spirit reappeared, threatening to take her life." She challenges him, reminding him that nothing suspicious had been found when they investigated his home. She accuses him of lying. Mei Jiangguo, clearly distressed, insists, "Miss, I wouldn't dare lie to you. I swear. Please save my daughter. I'll do whatever it takes." Liu Longting, still composed but slightly irritated, tells Ma Jiangguo, "If you want us to save her, you must tell the truth. Otherwise, there's nothing we can do." Reluctantly, Ma Jiangguo reveals the dark history of his family. He shares how his father once met a shaman who advised them to worship a pair of mystical snakes, promising that the snake deity would bring wealth and protection to their family. In exchange, his family would be tied to the creature, sustaining its power through worship. As time passed, the family enjoyed prosperity, but it came at a high price. The snakes began to drain their life force to sustain themselves, demanding more sacrifices. Ma Jiangguo admits that other family members, unwilling to serve the deity any longer, met terrible fates. Now, the spirits seek his daughter as their next vessel. "Do you mean to say you sacrificed your own family to keep your fortune?" Bai Jing asks, appalled. Mei Jiangguo, overcome with remorse, pleads desperately, "I had no choice. No one else can manage our family's affairs. Please, I'll give up everything, even hand over my family's assets if you can save us from this curse." Unable to resist Ma Jiangguo's desperate plea, Bai Jing reluctantly agrees to help. As they head upstairs, Liu Longting firmly instructs her to stay downstairs and wait. Left alone, Bai Jing sits on the sofa, wondering why he insisted on going without her. A strange sensation creeps over her, a chilling feeling of being watched. She glances down, and her heart skips a beat, as a sinister, malevolent spirit peeks out from beneath the sofa, its dark eyes gleaming. Suddenly, with a haunting laugh, the spirit slithers out from under the sofa, sending a jolt of fear through her. Bai Jing's heart races as she realizes the malevolent spirit might be targeting her. Panic floods her as she calls out, "Liu Longting, help me!" In that instant, a powerful energy encircles her, lifting her into the air. She floats, suspended and defenseless, as dark energy swirls around her, threatening to consume her. Just as fear starts to overwhelm her, a mysterious figure shrouded in red energy emerges from within her. Startled by his sudden appearance, Bai Jing asked, "Aren't you supposed to be dead?" The mountain god suddenly appears, his presence strong and fierce. He confronts the spirit with an intense glare and, with a powerful voice, yells, "Back off!" The spirit sneers at the mountain god, mocking his attempt to stop it. As the fight intensifies, they clash, each trying to overpower the other. Watching the battle unfold, Bai Jing thinks to herself, "Why is he here? Didn't he die that day? Is he here for revenge?" Suddenly, the spirit roars, "Anyone who interferes must die," and lunges towards Bai Jing. In a swift motion, the mountain god shields her, positioning himself between her and the spirit. He taunts the spirit, saying, If you don't return to your husband now, you may lose him forever. With a menacing growl, the spirit hesitates, then retreats hastily. As the mountain god lands back on the floor, Bai Jing rushes to him, asking, "Are you okay?" He gives her a faint smile and replies, "I'm fine." He reveals that he drank a deadly poison created by the Liu family to weaken him, yet he survived due to his strong cultivation. Bai Jing looks at the mountain god with a mix of concern and curiosity. He explained that he placed a small portion of his essence within her to survive. Beijing questions his decision to take a dangerous medicine that damages his body over time. He calmly responds, stating that he's committed many wrongs and that he's willing to suffer the consequences rather than let the villagers' hatred dictate his fate. Beijing asks what he intends to do now. The mountain god, observing Beijing's determination, offers to help her escape Liu Longting's control, as he can sense her desire for freedom. However, he admits his energy is severely weakened. To recover, he asks if she would let him reside within her body temporarily to restore his power, promising to repay her in the future. Bai Jing is taken aback, but listens to his earnest plea. Moved, she agrees, with the mountain god smiling softly, promising to support her fully. But she wondered, does she really want to kill him? Aside from his sharp tongue and his overly familiar behavior, there isn't much that's truly bad about him. As Bai Jing is deep in thought, wondering how this new alliance will affect her future, she realizes the mountain god has already vanished, leaving her with lingering doubts about the danger that lies ahead. Meanwhile, outside, Liu Longting is engaged in a powerful battle, surrounded by a brilliant golden aura, exercising lingering malevolent spirits near the estate. His confident stance as he commands the spirits to surrender adds to his aura of authority. He confidently faces off against the large, ominous serpent spirit. He warns it, telling the creature that today will be the day he teaches it a lesson. Holding a talisman in his hand, Liu Longting issues a final warning to the serpents. "Surrender now and pledge to follow me, and I will spare your lives." Grateful for his mercy, the serpents bow in thanks, relieved to avoid a grim fate. Liu Longting then hands them a talisman, instructing them to keep it safe and use it if they ever need it in the future. He implies that if Ma Jianguo wants to avoid similar issues in the future, he should rely on his own hard work rather than seeking shortcuts to wealth through dark means. Mei Jianguo, grateful and filled with relief, expresses his thanks. As Liu Longting and Bai Jing prepare to leave the premises, he turns to her and asks, "When you were downstairs, did the female snake spirit cause you any trouble?" Bai Jing nods. "Yes, she attacked me." Curious, Liu Longting raises an eyebrow. "Without any powers, how did you manage to handle her?" Bai Jing hesitates, then replies, "It wasn't me. Someone else helped me and told the female snake to go look for her husband." Liu Longting studies her face for a moment, clearly intrigued, but refrains from pressing further. Instead, he says, "Let your friend know that the problem is solved. I'll also teach you how to draw a talisman so you can protect yourself in the future." Bai Jing wonders why he isn't asking more questions about who came to her aid. Sensing her thoughts, Liu Longting smirks and teases, "I just don't want any demons feasting on my pretty wife." Bai Jing blushes, unable to hide her smile. Back at home, Bai Jing notices a few pimples on her face. Concerned, she asks her fortune teller friend for advice. Her friend suggests that it might be due to carrying Liu Longting's child within her and advises her to ask him for help. Standing outside Liu Longting's room, Bai Jing hesitates, debating whether or not to bring it up. Just as she's about to turn away, Liu Longting notices her lingering in the doorway and calls her inside. Once she enters, she fidgets nervously, unsure of how to introduce the topic. Noticing her reluctance, Liu Longting raises an eyebrow and asks, "Why are you just standing there? Come closer. I'll show you how to draw talismans." He gently holds her hand, his fingers warm against her skin as he begins to draw talismans with careful precision. "The talisman alone is weak," he murmurs, "but with a strong flow of spiritual energy, it becomes much more powerful." He notices her tense posture and softly advises, "Relax your grip so it can flow freely." But with his face so close to hers, Bai Jing finds it hard to relax. Her heart races and her discomfort is evident. Sensing her unease, Liu Longting pulls her even closer, his voice a low murmur. "You can only concentrate if you let go," he says, guiding her gently. Startled by the sudden intimacy, she stammers, I only need your essence. That's it." A smirk tugs at his lips. "Is that so? Why didn't you just say so?" Without warning, he pulls the mask from her face, revealing her flushed cheeks. Then, before she can react, he leans in, capturing her lips in a deep, passionate kiss, leaving her breathless and completely caught off guard. After a few days, Bai Jing and Liu Longting arrive at the sacred mountain. As they near Liu Longting's home, curiosity and nerves get the better of Bai Jing. She glances up at him, her voice soft but curious. "Why did you bring me here? Are you really going to introduce me as your wife?" But before he answers, two young children eagerly run up to Liu Longting, calling him third brother with excitement. Bai Jing is enchanted by their innocent joy, and her heart melts at their cuteness. Liu Longting's siblings eagerly tug at his sleeves, pleading, "Stay longer this time, brother." He smiles, then asks, "Is the second sister home?" Liu Longting's siblings eagerly lead him and Bai Jing inside, but one of them glances back at Bai Jing. Whispering to him, they ask, "Who is she?" and mutter about her appearance, calling her ugly. Irritated, Bai Jing firmly scolds them, declaring, "I'm his disciple." As they continue, a striking woman steps forward, her expression lighting up at the sight of Liu Longting. "You're back," she exclaims warmly, but her gaze shifts to Bai Jing with a hint of curiosity. Bai Jing senses this woman holds an important position within the family. Liu Longting gently explains, "This is my disciple. I brought her here to meet the family." The lady introduces herself as Yinhua and warmly welcomes Bai Jing, saying, "Feel free to treat this place as your own." Liu Longting adds that they won't be staying long, as Bai Jing has to return to school. Intrigued, Yinhua asks, "What are you studying?" "I'm studying painting," Bai Jing replies. Yinhua's eyes light up with curiosity. "Oh? Do you know how to paint in the Western style? You know, without clothing?" she asks with a mischievous smile. "If so, perhaps you could draw one for me." Everyone stares at her in stunned silence, expressions ranging from shock to amusement at her bold request. Later that night, Liu Longting strolls into Bai Jing's room, casually slipping off his clothing with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Flustered, Bai Jing stammers, "Why are you undressing, and why are you even in my room?" Longting smirks. "Didn't you say you could do Western-style paintings? Well, I want one too." Reluctantly, Bai Jing agrees, her cheeks tinged pink as she tries to focus on her task. But as she starts painting, her concentration falters, her gaze drifting nervously to his bare form. Frustrated, she finally admits, I can't do it." Longting's smirk deepens as his hand grazes her leg. "Is it because of me?" he teases, his voice playful. Leaning in, he murmurs, "If it helps, you're welcome to draw directly on me." Their playful banter fills the room and draws them closer, laughter blending with soft, lingering glances in the quiet night. In the morning, Bai Jing wakes up and notices that the painting she worked on last night is missing. Later, at the breakfast table, Longting suggests she should eat more. Jing thinks to herself, "It's only because of you that I'm this exhausted." Suddenly, the sound of a trumpet echoes through the hall, and a woman appears. She announces, "My master has seen the painting of the third master and has come to propose marriage." The entire table falls into stunned silence, everyone staring in shock at the unexpected declaration. Yinhua's expression sharpens with disapproval. "You dare propose to my third brother? Do you even consider your own status?" The lady, unfazed, responds confidently, "Don't underestimate me. My master, once granted a title by the prince, and later named noble concubine, is a fitting match for your family. Suddenly, a gust of wind heralds an impressive entourage. A lavish red palanquin, adorned with golden tassels, arrives, accompanied by attendants who move in perfect unison. As everyone bows, their solemn expressions and graceful movements hint that they are escorting someone of considerable importance. The curtains part, revealing a dignified woman stepping out gracefully. She addresses Yinhua calmly. There's no need to argue with the servant. With a soft smile, she continues. Last night, I glimpsed a portrait of the third master. His elegance captivated me, and I come today hoping you'll consider our proposal. Yinhua, with a composed yet firm tone, points out that Liu Longting is considered a sinner and not suitable for marriage just yet. The lady, unfazed, gracefully responds that she is willing to wait, emphasizing the potential alliance's advantages for both families. The room falls silent, and everyone exchanges uneasy glances, sensing the tension in the air. After a thoughtful pause, Yinhua declares that she will discuss the matter with Liu Longting and the rest of the family, promising to consider the proposal. If the family approves, she will accept the betrothal gift. Hearing this, the woman nods in satisfaction and bids her farewell. As she turns to leave, Liu Longting nudges Bai Jing playfully with his elbow, a small gesture of comfort amidst the tense atmosphere. The woman notices the subtle interaction, her eyes narrowing slightly. Turning to leave, she remarks, I happened to see Liu Longting and his disciple together last night. Be cautious. If others see such closeness, it might cast a shadow on Liu Longting's reputation and future. Yinhua calls Liu Longting into another room for a private discussion, her concern evident. Meanwhile, Bai Jing, feeling unsettled by the encounter, sits quietly with two of Liu Longting's younger siblings. Gathering her courage, she asks them, Do you think Liu Longting is interested in that woman?
The young boy looked at her. Third brother likes cute girls, not one stronger than him. And besides, he wouldn't like anyone I don't like. Bai Jing raised an eyebrow, stepping toward him. Oh, then do you like the woman we just saw? She asked, a playful challenge in her tone. The boy's confident expression faltered, and he replied hastily, No, I don't like her. Relieved, Bai Jing couldn't help but grin. Good. Do you like me? She teased. The boy squinted, pretending to study her intently. After a long pause, he shook his head and said with a serious face, No, you're ugly. Bai Jing's jaw dropped as her face flushed with annoyance. You little brat, she huffed, glaring at him. Suddenly, the younger girl grabbed Bai Jing's hand. Sister, do you really like my third brother? She asked with wide, innocent eyes. Blushing furiously, Bai Jing replied, How could I? I'm just his disciple. Besides, we're completely different species. Her voice trailed off. The young girl winked at her knowingly. Then, let me read your fortune, she said, tugging Bai Jing's hand closer. Studying Bai Jing's palm intently, the girl tilted her head. Sister, your future is complicated, she murmured. What do you mean by complicated? Bai Jing asked, her curiosity now piqued. The girl glanced up at her and explained. I can only read a little, but it's probably because your immortal affinity is unusually strong. Either your future spouse is an immortal, or you were once a great, eminent immortal yourself. The girl shrugged. The latter is unlikely. After all, you're mortal now. It's nearly impossible for an immortal to reincarnate without seeking an eminent immortal as their disciple. Someone like my brother, who's committed so many crimes, wouldn't be their choice. If you hadn't accepted him as your master, he would have been executed long ago. Bai Jing's heart skipped a beat. Executed? What kind of crimes did he commit? The girl's expression turned serious. A long time ago, immortals came to arrest him, but our eldest brother saved him. I don't know the full details, but after that, he became an immortal tasked with guarding your family. She paused, then added, It's because of you that he's still alive. You're his savior. As night descended over Liu's mansion, Bai Jing lay restless on her bed. She couldn't shake the conflicting emotions, being told she was Liu Longting's savior, only to hear by that woman earlier that her presence might actually be harming him. Yet, deep inside, she couldn't ignore the fact that his child grew within her. The idea clawed at her, making her feel trapped. Could I have unknowingly become his mistress? Someone despised by all? She wondered bitterly, clutching the sheets in frustration. Just as her thoughts spiraled further, a soft knock echoed against her window. Startled, she turned and froze. It was Liu Longting, but not in his usual human form. He stood there in his original form, a magnificent yet intimidating silver serpent, his piercing golden eyes glowing in the dark. Before she could utter a word, he slithered inside, wrapping himself around her protectively. His voice low and sharp. "Get ready. We're leaving," he ordered. "How could you be so cold-hearted? I'm about to get married, and here you are sleeping so soundly." Bai Jing, stunned, struggled to process his words, but had no chance to argue as he transformed just enough to allow her to climb onto his back. Her heart raced as she clung to him. His voice softened slightly, though his tone remained firm. "Hold on, we're going home." They glided through the dense forest. The cool night air rushed past, carrying the earthy scent of the woods. As they traveled, she hesitated before whispering, "Can I still choose to marry you instead of being your disciple?" Before she could think anything else, a foul stench wafted through the air. She covered her nose, her eyes scanning the area. In the moonlight, she spotted a large group of pigs blocking their path. At the front, one stood out, its eyes sharp and intelligent, a clear leader. The pig leader snarled, its demeanor threatening, before transforming into a human woman. Liu Longting followed suit, reverting to his human form as his gaze turned sharp. "So," he said, a smirk playing on his lips, "it's you, Huang Sanyang." The woman, her expression stern yet weary, bowed her head slightly. "Third Master, stop teasing me. I'm not here to fight. I've come to ask for your help." Liu Longting's smirk deepened. "You come asking for help with an attitude like that?" Huang Sanyang bowed deeply, her voice trembling. "Please, Third Master, my son was murdered. I need your help to avenge him. I'll do anything." Liu Longting's expression shifted. "Tell me everything." Huang Sanyang explained, her face etched with sorrow. 10 years ago, I was gravely injured. My son, desperate to save me, went out hunting to help restore my strength. But he was caught by humans. They pinned him with a fork and burned him alive." Her voice broke as she clenched her fists, tears streaming down her face. "I later discovered the mastermind, Zhu Dagui. I wanted revenge, but his family is part of the pig immortals. Their cultivation far surpasses mine. I've tried, but no one will help me. I'm a useless mother." Bai Jing, who had remained quiet, felt a pang of sympathy for the grieving mother, instinctively reached out and grabbed Liu Longting's hand. He glanced at her briefly, his expression unreadable. Huang pleaded, "I know you have your own matters to handle, but please, I beg you, help me avenge my son. I'll offer you my life in return." Liu Longting looked at her with a calm, yet piercing gaze. "Your life is of no use to me, but I'll help you," he said bluntly. He continued, his tone steady. "This will anger my sister because of my sudden departure, but once she calms down, go to her." As they approached Zhu village, Liu Longting recalled Huang Sanyang's warning. "The pig immortals have high cultivation. Don't underestimate them, young master." Upon reaching Zhu village, an overpowering stench filled the air, making Baijing wrinkle her nose. Unable to endure it, she asked, "What's this horrible smell?" "It's the stink of pigs," Liu Longting replied flatly. "And it's no ordinary pig. This isn't an immortal, but a demon." Suddenly, a woman's desperate cries broke through the silence. "Don't hit me. I'll go," she pleaded. The gate of the Zhu mansion creaked open, revealing a towering demon-like man. "Buy me some wine, and don't bother coming back if you can't," he barked at the woman. She staggered to her feet, trembling as she turned to leave, but the demon's eyes caught sight of Bai Jing and Liu Longting. His face twisted with irritation. "What are you staring at?" he roared, pointing a threatening finger at Bai Jing. "Keep looking, and I'll chop you up." Bai Jing's anger flared. "What kind of man are you? Beating a woman like that?" she shouted. The demon smirked, his gaze darkening with malice. "A feisty one, aren't you? Pretty too. You'd make a fine match to warm my bed." Before Bai Jing could respond, Liu Longting stepped forward, his voice cold and steady. "I didn't come here to talk. I'm here to kill you." The demon burst out laughing, as if he'd heard the most absurd joke. "Kill me? You? You're nothing but a puny worm with barely a few hundred years of cultivation." Liu Longting's golden eyes gleamed as he raised his hand, summoning a brilliant golden light that glowed with raw power. "Why don't we find out who the real worm is?" he said, his voice calm yet laced with menace. The demon sneered, picking up a bowl filled with a mysterious liquid. Fine, I'll deal with you first, he growled. Then I'll enjoy that little beauty over there. With a single gulp, he drained the bowl's contents. His eyes turned blood red, and his body convulsed before twisting grotesquely. His human form melted away, replaced by a monstrous pig-like demon with massive tusks and glowing crimson eyes. He roared, shaking the ground beneath them. Terrified, Baijing yelled, "Lu Longting, be careful." Lu Longting transformed into his original form, a majestic silver snake with shimmering scales and piercing golden eyes. The two roared at each other, the tension thick in the air. As they clashed, Baijing watched in awe and fear. For the first time, she saw Lu Longting fight in his true form. What if Lu Longting loses? She whispered to herself, her breath shaky. The battle was fierce. Blood splattered the ground as the pig demon huffed and snarled, his confidence faltering. "I've cultivated for centuries," he growled, panting heavily. "How could I lose to someone like you?" But Lu Longting's strength was unrelenting. With a powerful strike, he coiled tightly around the pig demon, squeezing the life out of him. The pig let out a final, guttural roar before collapsing onto the ground with a heavy thud. Lu Longting released his grip, but stumbled, his massive body wobbling before falling to the ground. "Lu Longting!" Baijing screamed, rushing to his side. Panic consumed her as she dropped to her knees beside him, tears streaming down her face. She leaned in close, her voice trembling. "You can't die. Don't you dare leave me." A faint warmth brushed her cheek. Lu Longting, though weak, managed to lift his hand and rub her face gently. "I'm fine. There's no need to cry over me." His golden eyes flickered with mischief as he added, "But if your heart aches for me that much, how about we find a good spot where you can show me how much you care?" Baijing's tears turned to anger as she glared at him, her face flushed. "How can you joke at a time like this?" she snapped, her voice filled with frustration. Baijing nervously checks into a simple express hotel, carrying an unconscious Lu Longting, who has now reverted to his snake form. Placing him gently on the bed, she mutters to herself, "There's no good place around here, and he's so seriously injured. What should I do? Should I try to reach Yingyu for help? She might know how to heal him." As she watches over Lu Longting, she tenderly strokes his small snake form. "I'm so useless," she whispers. "If only I could help you just a little." Suddenly, a loud and frantic banging on the door startles her. Baijing freezes, her heart pounding. Before she can react, the door bursts open, and golden flames flood the room. Two figures stride in confidently, their silhouettes illuminated by the light. One of the men stepped forward with a polite yet commanding tone. "Hello, miss. Huang sent us here to treat the young master. This is my old friend, an immortal doctor." Baijing instinctively stepped back, wary of the two elderly but imposing figures. The white-haired man, exuding an air of authority, glanced at her and remarked with a hint of mockery, "Young lady, is this how you welcome your guests? Where are your manners?" Baijing stammers nervously. Please save him." "He's gravely injured," she pleads. The elder man looks at the small snake on the bed and scoffs. "Humph, he deserves it." The elder carefully picked up Lu Longting and began performing an intricate healing ritual. The other man turned to Baijing, gently advising, "It's best you don't watch. His condition might appear painful during the process." As the ritual concluded, Lu Longting reverted to his human form, looking pale but alive. He expressed his gratitude to the elder with a sincere, "Thank you." The older man, however, gestured toward Baijing and said, "You should thank her as well. She's taken great care of you." Meanwhile, Baijing, scanning the room, noticed the absence of the other elder doctor and wondered where he had gone. The remaining elder then turned to Lu Longting and firmly suggested, "You need to rest. Your fever is still dangerously high. Don't push yourself further." Baijing thanked the old man sincerely and offered him some tea as a token of her gratitude. The elder smiled and declined gently, saying, "I'll visit you tomorrow. There's something I need to give you since my time in this world is running short." His words made Baijing's heart ache with sadness, but the elder reassured her, "Don't dwell on it, young one." Reluctantly, she agreed, though curiosity gnawed at her. What could he possibly have for her, especially since she had never met him before? As the elder departed, Baijing felt a wave of relief wash over her. But just as she was about to exhale, Liu Longting suddenly pulled her into a firm embrace from behind, startling her. His voice was soft yet filled with warmth as he murmured, "If it weren't for you, I would have suffered for months longer." Baijing's cheeks flushed red. "Let go of me," she stammered, her voice tinged with worry. "You're still injured." Liu Longting leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear as he teased, "Don't you want your repayment? There's no better time than now." Baijing, flustered and misunderstanding his intent, stammered, You have a high fever. How are you planning to repay me? If it's money, just write me a big check." A sly smirk played on his lips as he replied, "This repayment is something you can only receive while I have a fever. It's a rare opportunity." Intrigued by his cryptic words, Baijing's curiosity got the better of her. She turned to face him, her eyes lighting up with anticipation. "What kind of treasure can you only give me while you're sick?" she asked eagerly. His smirk deepened, and he pointed suggestively. Baijing followed his gesture, only to realize his mischievous intent. Her face turned crimson as heat rushed to her cheeks. Before she could react, he slid his hand under her clothing, leaving her stunned and utterly flustered. As dawn breaks, soft light filters through the curtains. Baijing's eyes flutter open, and she notices Liu Longting peacefully asleep beside her. Realizing his fever has subsided, she quietly reflects on his improved condition. Her thoughts wander as she watches him, noticing his peaceful expression and delicate features that make him appear almost childlike. She leans closer to Liu Longting, pressing a finger lightly against his lips. She thinks it would be nice if he stayed this obedient all the time. Suddenly, Liu Longting bites her finger lightly, startling her. She yelps, "Are you a dog?" He smirks and asks, "What were you doing? Stealing a kiss?" Flustered, she denies it, but he leans over her, trapping her in place. "If you want a kiss, just take it. I belong to you," he teases. Blushing, she protests, "Who wants to?" But before she can finish, he seals her lips with a kiss. As they lie under the covers, Baijing sighs to herself. Forget it. It's late. Later, at a coffee shop, Baijing stares at the old man in shock. "What? You want to leave the old Dr. Grandpa with us?" The old man nods, explaining, "My time is almost up. I won't be able to stay with him much longer. Don't worry, he may seem fierce, but he keeps his promises. He's a gentle soul deep down." Baijing, however, remains skeptical. The old man continues, "We've lived together for many lifetimes. My time is over, but he still has attachments to settle. I want to entrust him to you so he can fulfill his long-cherished wish." Bowing deeply, he makes his appeal. Liu Longting replies calmly, "All right, we'll take him in, but he can't be her immortal." The old man objects, but his cultivation is high. If he becomes her immortal, it will benefit her too. Baijing glances at Liu Longting, thinking, why is he making decisions without asking me? Liu Longting counters firmly, "I'm her immortal." That's enough. The old man observes him thoughtfully, noting his possessiveness. With a nod, he replied, "All right, I understand," and slid a piece of paper to Baijing. "This has old Bai's name. I'm leaving him to you." After the old man leaves, Baijing picks it up and asks Liu Longting, "Those two grandpas look the same. Are they twins?" Liu Longting, taking a bite of his food, explains, "When immortals live with their disciples for a long time, they eventually grow attached and become more alike." Surprised, Baijing replies, "I didn't know that." She then asks, "If we help him fulfill his wish, will he be able to ascend?" Liu Longting answers, "When an immortal's time on earth ends, they return to heaven. But if they have unresolved attachments, they can't ascend." Before they can continue, a girl nearby exclaims, "He's so handsome." Startled, Baijing asks, "They can see you?" As they arrived home, Liu Longting softly asked, "Are you still angry?" "Who says I'm angry?" she retorted, crossing her arms. "I'm just surprised you didn't bother concealing yourself outside. You seem to enjoy all those compliments," she added, her tone tinged with annoyance. Sitting on the edge of the bed, she demanded, "Tell me, did I say anything wrong?" Liu Longting looked at her, a trace of affection in his golden eyes. "I was wrong," he said quietly. Then, without warning, he scooped her up and placed her on his lap. His arms encircled her, holding her close as he explained, "The reason others can see me is because our auras have merged. I've had you by my side for so long that your energy and mine have assimilated." Baijing's irritation flared. So you're blaming me now? She asked, glaring at him. Lu Longting tightened his embrace. Don't be angry, he said gently. Bai Jing turned her face away, her voice slightly shaky. Since others can see you now, you can choose someone else. I don't want to do this forever. Lu Longting smirked, leaning closer. If you don't want to be my disciple anymore, then tell me, what do you want to be? Her mind raced as she avoided his gaze, conflicted. If I stay with him, am I helping him or am I holding him back? Finally she muttered, I don't want to be anything. It's better if I'm not involved with you at all. Hearing her words, Lu Longting frowned slightly. He didn't let her go. Instead, he turned her to face him, wrapping his arms tightly around her. He said firmly, Don't listen to others. My future has nothing to do with anyone else, and neither does yours. He smiled faintly and added, As for my second sister, I'll handle her. You don't need to worry. Bai Jing hesitated, her voice trembling slightly as she asked, So, being with me won't affect your cultivation? Lu Longting cupped her face, tilting it gently to meet his gaze. As long as we're happy, that's all that matters, he said softly. Her heart skipped a beat, heat rising to her face. She stammered, It's not like I'm willing. You were the one who seduced me first. His hands wandered slightly, startled. Bai Jing squirmed and raised her voice. What are you doing? Nothing, he replied casually. In the quiet of the hostel room, an unsettling noise echoed faintly, breaking the stillness of the night. A young girl lay peacefully in bed, her breath soft and even. The eerie sound grew louder, causing her to tremble slightly in her sleep. Stop being so noisy, just be quiet, she mumbled, her voice heavy with drowsiness. For a moment, the room returned to silence, as if her complaint had been heeded. But suddenly a loud bang erupted against the door, jolting her awake. Her eyes flew open, wide with alarm as she sat up in bed. Who's that there? She called out, her voice trembling slightly. The top, however, was still offering no reply. Placing a hand on her temple, she sighed. It must have been a dream, she muttered, trying to calm her racing heart. Lying back down, she murmured to herself, I should have stayed home a few more days instead of rushing back to the hostel. Unbeknownst to her, something ominous began to stir. Dark, red figure slithered across the floor, its movements unnaturally fluid as it crawled toward the bed. It crept up the steps silently, inching closer to the girl's sleeping form. Suddenly, the red shape shifted, rising and morphing into a ghostly figure that loomed above her. As Bai Jing returned to school with Lu Longting, she felt a wave of happiness seeing the familiar campus after so many days. The sense of normalcy comforted her, but the attention Lu Longting was attracting quickly soured her mood. He's so handsome. Is he a new student? A girl whispered. No, he must be a senior, another replied, blushing. Annoyed, Bai Jing muttered, I knew I shouldn't have brought him along. Just then, a familiar voice called out, Bai Jing! It was Yao Na. Bai Jing greeted her friend with a big smile. Why are you back at the hostel so early? She asked. I've been here for 2 days. It's been so lonely without anyone around, Yao Na replied. Her gaze shifted to Lu Longting. Who's this handsome guy? Before Bai Jing could respond, Lu Longting removed his sunglasses and said coolly, Hello, I'm Bai Jing's husband. Embarrassed, Bai Jing quickly dragged Yao Na toward the hostel, cutting off any further conversation. Yao Na, however, kept glancing back at Lu Longting and teasingly asked, Does he have any siblings? Once they reached Yao Na's room, her friend sighed in relief. Thank goodness you're here. The nights have been so creepy, I couldn't sleep properly. Lu Longting scanned the room, his expression darkening as he narrowed his eyes. He grabbed Bai Jing's hand, causing her to look at him in confusion. This room is haunted, he said flatly. Haunted? That's impossible. Yao Na's been here for 2 days, Bai Jing protested. Lu Longting raised his hand, his golden eyes glinting. See for yourself, he said, placing his hand on Bai Jing's temple. Suddenly, Bai Jing's vision changed. The room was engulfed in darkness, eerie red markings staining the walls. She gasped, I've never seen anything like this before. Lu Longting turned to Yao Na. Have you heard any strange noises? During the day, it's fine, Yan admitted hesitantly, but last night, I thought I heard something. When I looked, there was nothing there. Lu Longting sighed. You let it in, he said grimly. Terrified, Yao Na asked, What is it? Not wanting to scare her, Bai Jing interjected, It's nothing. Lu Longting's just a little sensitive. The room's probably just unsettling because it's been closed for so long. Reassured, Yauna relaxed. Later that night, at 10 o'clock, Baijing and Lu Longting waited alone in the room. Why did you send Yauna away so late? Baijing asked nervously. It will definitely come tonight, Lu Longting replied. We need to deal with it before it becomes a bigger problem. Baijing shuddered. This is so creepy. Lu Longting pulled her into his arms with a teasing smile. Do you want me to hold you? You'll feel warmer this way. Blushing, Baijing stammered. Fine, but promise you won't do anything else. Suddenly, a cold gust swept through the room, flipping the curtains violently. Lu Longting's expression turned serious as he whispered, It's here. Inside the wardrobe, Lu Longting held Baijing tightly as they hid. Baijing, scared yet blushing, tried to speak, but Lu Longting placed a finger on his lips, signaling her to stay quiet. Outside in the eerie room, something resembling hair slithered under the closed door, gliding across the floor. Suddenly, a hand emerged from the ground, pulling itself up. The ghostly figure swung open the bed covers, searching for someone, but finding no one. Frustrated, it let out an unearthly roar that echoed through the room. Terrified, Baijing clung to Lu Longting, trembling. I don't have any grudge against her, so why? She whispered. The ghost turned toward the wardrobe, its blank face unsettling Baijing further. She shivered, unable to look away from its hollow appearance. Lu Longting leaned in close and whispered in her ear, It's a weak ghost. This is your chance to use the talismans. Before she could protest, he pushed her toward the ghost. Baijing stumbled, yelling, I don't want to. She glanced back, shouting, You deal with her. But Lu Longting had already disappeared. You heartless, stinky man, she yelled in frustration. The ghost turned its attention to Baijing, creeping closer. Terrified, she thought, I'm going to die today. Summoning courage, she remembered Lu Longting's words. You have to face it sooner or later. Just place the talisman on her face. From above, Lu Longting's teasing voice echoed. It seems like you're only good in bed. Admit it, and I'll never let you handle this again. Fuming, Baijing shouted back, You're the one who's just a bed warmer. Gathering her resolve, she clutched the talisman tightly and rushed toward the ghost. How hard can it be? She thought as she slapped the talisman onto the ghost's blank face, yelling, Evil, be gone. The ghost shrieked in pain as golden light engulfed it, blinding Baijing momentarily. When her vision cleared, she saw the ghost consumed by red flames, slowly disintegrating. She sighed in relief. Finally, it's gone. Lu Longting, sitting casually on the ceiling, began clapping. As I thought, my judgment was correct. You can handle anything. Baijing glared at him angrily. You have the nerve to push me out without any warning. He explained, You're my disciple. In the future, you'll face things far more terrifying than this. Jumping down to the floor, hands in his pockets, he added, What will you do if I'm not around? I can't let my Jingjing die. Now you're just twisting words to force the issue, Baijing retorted. He leaned closer, tilting her chin up. All right, don't be angry. I'll give you my love as a reward. Before Baijing could react, her face flushed as Lu Longting pressed his lips to hers, sealing the moment with a kiss. As Lu Longting pulled away from the kiss, Baijing asked, What do you mean by she was targeting me just now? Lu Longting, lost in thought, replied, If she didn't hold any personal grudge against you, then someone must have sent her. That spirit had been dead for a long time. He added calmly, The only explanation is that someone directed her. Flustered, Baijing said, I haven't offended anyone. Who would do that? Lu Longting sighed. You didn't know there was a grudge between us either. If something like this has happened, we need to be more cautious. Sobbing softly, Baijing thought, If my family has unknowingly offended someone, I'll end up being the one who suffers. Suddenly her phone rang, displaying the name My Prince, Wang Xuan. Lu Longting leaned over to look at the screen, his expression darkening. Why aren't you picking up? He asked coldly. His eyes narrowed as he added, and put it on speaker. Baijing panicked, thinking, Why didn't I change his name earlier? She quickly picked up the phone. Baijing, my birthday is coming up, and I'm inviting you to my party, Wang Xuan said cheerfully. Noticing Lu Longting's icy glare, Baijing stammered, Birthday? I don't think I'll be free. Ignoring her hesitation, Wang Xuan declared, It's settled. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and hung up. Baijing turned to Lu Longting nervously. I won't go. I'll just give Yao Na a red packet to pass on. Lu Longting raised an eyebrow. My prince, huh? Blushing, Baijing quickly explained, it's just an old nickname. We weren't compatible, so nothing ever happened. Smirking, Lu Longting leaned in. Then you should go, he said, his tone playful. Not just go, dress up beautifully. Surprised, Baijing looked at him, bewildered by his response. The next day, Baijing reluctantly wore a beautiful dress. Why did he insist on buying me a new one? My old clothes would have been fine. As she looked at the locket around her neck, she remembered Lu Longting's confident words. You can leave, but no one else will make you happier than I can. Her irritation flared at his confidence. As she approached, a car pulled up, and Wang Xuan emerged, apologizing for being late. He escorted her into the car and drove off. But as they veered off course, Baijing asked, This isn't the way to the restaurant. Where are we going? Smiling, Wang Xuan replied, I wanted to take you somewhere special first. He continued, I heard you have a boyfriend now, so I was ready to give up. But seeing you dress up so beautifully for me today, I think I still have a chance. Winking at her, he added, Girls dress up for the boys they like, don't they? Baijing grimaced, thinking, I only wore this because Lu Longting insisted. The car stopped suddenly, and Wang Xuan's demeanor shifted. Let's cut to the chase. My family is rich, so why play hard to get? He moved closer to her, and Baijing's locket began to glow faintly. Panicking, she slapped him with all her strength, surprised at how effective it was. Looking at her hand, she thought, is this Lu Longting's power? Wang Xuan's anger flared. How dare you hit me? Grabbing her hair, he slammed her head against the car window, his face twisted in rage. Do you think I don't know gold diggers like you? Terrified, Baijing thought, men are truly terrifying when they lose control. Suddenly, her locket transformed, and a small snake emerged, attacking Wang Xuan. Screaming in panic, he yelled, Monster! Monster! He struggled to escape, but the car doors wouldn't budge. Zheng felt a wave of relief. The snake coiled tightly around Wang Xuan, who cried out in pain. Baijing shouted, Stop Lu Longting, he'll die if you keep going. Her pleas went unheard as the snake continued its attack. Baijing thought desperately, I just wanted to teach him a lesson, not kill him. A sickening crack echoed through the car. Lu Longting materialized in his human form and asked coldly, What, do you regret it now? Baijing glared at him. How can you kill someone? Unfazed, he replied, You didn't object when I killed others. Why now? Angrily, she retorted, Because they deserved it, and this will bring trouble. His family is rich, and if they investigate, we'll never have peace. She took a deep breath and said, Forget it, I'll turn myself in. I'm not destined to be your disciple in this life. See you in the next one. Lu Longting's expression softened. You were angry for my sake? He held her hand gently. Don't worry, I have a solution. Avoiding his gaze, Baijing replied, What solution? He's gone. Can you bring him back? With a smirk, Lu Longting said flatly, That's right. Baijing's eyes widened in shock as he began removing his upper garments. He placed a hand over her eyes. Don't look. It'll be over soon. Praying silently, Baijing thought, how is he able to bring someone back from the dead? Later, in a lavish restaurant, Wang Xuan sat with others. His behavior completely changed. When asked about the earlier incident, he casually explained it was just a cat. Suspicious, Baijing's friend asked her about it, but she nodded along, not wanting to stir up trouble. Lu Longting, sitting coolly beside her, smirked. I restructured his memory and attitude. Isn't he much cuter now? One of the friends in the group spoke up. Have you heard? This hotel may look fancy, but it's famous for the reservoir behind the mountain. They say many people, especially women, died there and were thrown into the water. At night, you can still hear their screams. It's terrifying. Baijing and Lu Longting heard the conversation. Baijing looked uneasy, while Lu Longting remained confidently indifferent. As evening fell, the group decided to explore the area behind the mountain. The boys teased Baijing, saying, You're so brave to join us. Or maybe you're just scared a ghost might steal your handsome boyfriend. Hearing this, Baijing rolled her eyes but couldn't help thinking, I'd like to see which female ghost has the nerve to try and take him away. Suddenly, her friend called out, Baijing! Isn't that your boyfriend? What is he doing over there? Confused, Baijing turned to see Lu Longting standing by the reservoir, calmly removing his shirt. She rushed toward him, flustered. What are you doing? Behave yourself. Why are you taking your clothes off here? Hurry up and come back. What's wrong with you? Lu Longting didn't reply. Instead, he gave her a faint smile that left her momentarily stunned. His beauty, under the soft glow of the evening light, left her speechless. As he turned to face her fully, a strange ripple disturbed the still water behind him. Slowly, a stream of water rose, swirling around them, as though drawn to him. Lu Longting leaned closer to Bai Jing, his golden eyes reflecting the moonlit water. Startled, she asked, "What are you doing?" Without a word, he wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. His breath brushed against her ear, sending a shiver down her spine. But suddenly, his form began to change. The handsome figure she had been admiring was twisted and distorted. His face morphed into a horrifying ghostly visage. Bai Jing's heart raced in terror as she stared at the ghastly figure beside her. Panic consumed her, and she stumbled back, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Before the demon could strike, Lu Longting appeared and struck first, pulling Bai Jing out of harm's way before delivering a powerful blow to the monster. The demon shrieked in pain, crying out, "Lady Silver Flower," before vanishing into thin air. Bai Jing, still shaken, turned to Lu Longting in confusion. "Lady Silver Flower, why did that demon look exactly like you? What's going on?" she asked. Lu Longting sighed, clearly not in the mood for explanations. "You're asking too many questions. I'll explain later. For now, go back first. I need to handle this." He pointed to her friends, who stood frozen, their eyes vacant and lifeless. Back in her room, Bai Jing paced anxiously, waiting for Lu Longting's return. The moment he stepped inside, she rushed to him. "Are they all okay?" she asked, concern etched on her face. "They're fine," Lu Longting assured her. "The attackers were mountain demons. They take on the form of someone you love to lure you in and devour your essence." Relieved, Bai Jing let out a breath. "Good, I'm glad they're okay. But what I really wanted to ask..." Before Bai Jing could finish her question, Lu Longting suddenly approached her, his movements eerily unnatural, as if he were possessed. Bai Jing waved a hand in front of his face, testing his awareness. With an innocent look in his eyes, Lu Longting whispered, "I'm in so much trouble. Could you give me some love?" Bai Jing sighed, realizing it was just another one of his mischievous antics. As Bai Jing and Lu Longting walked through the dense forest of Xiang Mountain, Bai Jing's mind buzzed with thoughts. Yingu had called her earlier, mentioning that a great immortal had landed nearby. She wanted to investigate, but decided to keep it from Lu Longting, fearing the trouble he might cause if he found out she had lied. She sighed, glancing at Lu Longting, who walked beside her with a carefree demeanor. "What does he mean by 'I'm so in trouble, give me some love'?" she thought, exasperated by his playful antics. "I can't stand it when he's like this," she muttered under her breath. Lu Longting, seemingly unaware of her frustration, crossed his arms. When a great immortal descends to the world, local immortals should assist them. Why would they wander into the mountains alone? Bai Jing hesitated. "I don't know," she lied, trying to divert the conversation. "Are all local immortals entrusted? Who's entrusted by your family?" Lu Longting's expression darkened. "All the snake immortals in our Lu family are canonized by Lady Silverflower." "Lady Silverflower again?" Bai Jing thought. "She is one of the 3 main gods among the immortals. They are in charge of all immortal families in the world," he explained. Bai Jing's eyes widened. "So powerful? She's the main god? What happened to her?" Lu Longting's gaze turned distant. "She violated a taboo and was exiled," he said solemnly. Bai Jing pondered over his words when a rustling sound from the bushes made her freeze. Before she could react, a monstrous creature with crimson eyes and sharp feathers lunged at them from the foliage. With a sharp screech, it landed gracefully before them. The massive creature folded its wings and spoke. "Are you Bai Jing?" Shocked, she took a step back. "Are you the great immortal?" she asked hesitantly. However, as the bird's feathers settled, its form revealed itself to be a giant chicken. Bai Jing's jaw dropped in disbelief. "Eh? A chicken?" she blurted out. Before she could process it, the chicken pecked her head fiercely. "It hurts! It hurts!" Bai Jing cried out, clutching her head. The bird, seemingly offended, flapped its wings and huffed. "If we hadn't had a destiny in our previous lives, I wouldn't have chosen you." Bai Jing, realizing her mistake, quickly bowed and apologized. "Great immortal, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I was just surprised by your original form. The bird scoffed, transforming into its true form, an elegant phoenix-like figure with shimmering feathers. I am a phoenix myself, and I will overlook your offense for the sake of our past lives, it said arrogantly. Now let's sign an agreement, and then offer me life supply. I have used up most of my mana after the tribulation, he added. Moreover, my name is Feng Qiqian, he added with pride. Before Bai Jing could argue further, Feng Qiqian vanished in a burst of flames. As they reached the hostel, Bai Jing sighed in relief. You can go back now, she said. Lu Longting, however, raised an eyebrow. Are you the type of person who dumps others after they've finished their job? He teased with an innocent look. Before their conversation could continue, Yao Na appeared in the corridor. Do you want to go out and play tomorrow? Bai Jing asked. Yao Na ignored her. Play with your boyfriend, she said. Bai Jing's eyes widened, sensing something was off. Why is Yao Na suddenly like this? She thought to herself. Did I provoke you somewhere? Wasn't everything fine before? Bai Jing questioned hesitantly. Yao Na's face twisted with suppressed emotions. I've been disliking you for a long time, she confessed, her voice laced with bitterness. You're always better at everything. Prettier, smarter, and everyone I like ends up liking you instead. I've had enough. Bai Jing's heart ached at the revelation, but before she could respond, Yao Na's expression grew even darker. What you have, I will take it, sooner or later, she declared, her voice dripping with envy and something far more sinister. Lu Longting narrowed his eyes. Something's not right, he murmured, sensing the ominous aura surrounding Yao Na. As Yao Na walked away, Bai Jing stood frozen in shock. My best friend. How did it come to this? She whispered. Bai Jing sat in her dorm room, her thoughts clouded with disbelief and hurt. Lu Longting, sitting leisurely across from her, observed her turmoil with a composed expression. Humans are like this, he said. They are easily dazzled by desires. Bai Jing looked at him in shock. You knew all along? Her voice wavered. Lu Longting nodded slightly. I became suspicious after the incident with Wang Xuan, he admitted. So I looked into it. Lu Longting continued, his voice steady. Yao Na's family is average, struggling to make ends meet and save for her schooling. 3 years ago, she became some big shot's mistress, but she always thought she deserved more. She felt superior to you, believing you were beneath her in every way. But when Wang Xuan, the boy she liked, fell for you instead, and you also had me so, jealousy consumed her. Lu Longting's gaze turned cold. Jealousy in a woman is enough to drive them mad, he said, his fingers tightening into a fist. She manipulated Wang Xuan, pushed him to find you, and orchestrated everything behind the scenes. But don't worry, I've taken care of it. Bai Jing swallowed hard, tears welling up in her eyes. If I had known earlier, maybe I could have stopped this from happening. Her voice cracked with regret. After a few days, whispers of fear and uncertainty spread through the school. Students gathered in hushed groups, discussing the terrifying news. Several people had jumped off the building. Rumors swirled, and panic began to take hold. Bai Jing watched the chaos unfold, her heart pounding. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, and she pulled it out with shaky hands. A message glowed ominously on the screen. As you wished, they are all dead. Her eyes widened in shock. How could this be? All those who died were with her at the reservoir. Before she could process it further, a familiar voice interrupted her thoughts. Hey, Bai Jing! Bai Jing! He called out again, hovering with an air of importance. Turning around, Bai Jing finds Feng Qiqian with a concerned look. Why are you spacing out? I've been calling you for ages, he scolds. Still shaken, Bai Jing apologizes. I was just lost in thought. Feng Qiqian munches on his bun and looks at the situation, then replies nonchalantly, No one actually died in your school. Bai Jing's eyes widen in disbelief. What? But everyone saw. Feng Qiqian interrupts, his eyes narrowing. People leave traces when they die, staleness, dark energy, but your school has none of that. What everyone saw might not be real. Bai Jing's mind races, trying to comprehend his words. But someone saw it happen too, she insists. Feng Qiqian sighs. It's likely an illusion or something far more sinister at play. If I can't sense spirits, then this has to be something that existed long before, something cursed. Bai Jing's thoughts immediately drift to the reservoir. Could it be because of what happened back there? Her concern deepens as she realizes Yao Na seems completely unaffected by the chaos. Determined to get answers, she rushes off, calling out, "I have to ask her!" Liu Longting is an evil demon, Yao Na accused, her eyes gleaming with malice. You brought him here, and now you've brought disaster upon us. You killed those boys. Baijing clenched her fists, her voice trembling with anger. You're lying, she shot back. I saw him sucking everyone's essence. Yao Na smirked, stepping closer. If you really saw him, then why didn't he also suck out your essence? Baijing asked, her tone sharp. Yao Na's expression darkened. Because, she leaned in, whispering, I'm your good friend, Baijing. If I died, would you be sad? Baijing narrowed her eyes. Stop playing games, Yao Na. I know Liu Longting better than you. He wouldn't kill without reason. With a bitter laugh, Yao Na continued, Believe what you want, but your beloved demon cast a spell on them, left his lingering aura, and forced them to jump off the building. Baijing's mind swirled with confusion and doubt. Yao Na, Feng Chiqian, she thought, staring at the pieces of information coming together in her mind. She recalled how everyone claimed the boys didn't actually die today, yet all the evidence pointed directly to Liu Longting. Could it be? She hesitated, the unsettling thought creeping into her heart. Baijing stepped into the house Liu Longting had bought for her, the aroma of freshly cooked food filling the air. She stared at the beautifully set table, eyes widening in surprise. Liu Longting, standing in the kitchen with a calm yet smug expression. You're back? Wash your hands and prepare to eat. I made your favorite soup, he said smoothly. Baijing hesitated, Yao Na's harsh words echoing in her mind. What's wrong? You look unhappy. Are you feeling uncomfortable? He asked, his golden eyes narrowing slightly in worry. Snapping out of her thoughts, Baijing quickly replied, No, I'm just a little tired from school today. But Liu Longting didn't let her escape so easily. In one swift motion, he pulled her close. Before she could react, his lips pressed against hers in a soft yet assertive kiss. Baijing's eyes widened in shock, her heart pounding wildly in her chest. Why suddenly, she thought, dazed by the unexpected tenderness. He held her by the waist and asked, Baijing, do you like me? She blinked in surprise, feeling cornered by the intensity of his gaze. Why do you suddenly ask? She questioned nervously. Could it be that he saw something? He persisted, his voice calm but firm. Do you like me? Baijing answered, Yes, I do. His next words caught her completely off guard. If I did something you didn't know about, would you still like me? Her mind raced with doubts. If Liu Longting really killed someone, if he's the monster Yao Na warned me about, would I still, without waiting for her response, he whispered, Those male classmates in your class, it was me who killed them. I took their essence. Baijing's heart pounded. Why? Why did you do this? Is human life so casual in your eyes? Why didn't you take mine then? She asked. Liu Longting looked at her, his gaze unwavering. Yes, I am a monster. I suck human spirits. I trample on life. Tears welled up in Baijing's eyes as she clenched her fists and struck his chest. You're an immortal. Shouldn't you cultivate doing good deeds? Why must you? Before she could finish, he held her hand tightly. Baijing, I want to live. I want to be with you, and I don't want to wait for our next lives. Baijing's breath hitched at his words. What did you say? She whispered. Liu Longting's arms wrapped around her, his voice calm yet firm. You don't need to know too much. He murmured, his warm breath brushing against her ear. Just know that everything I do is for you. For me, she thought, staring at his composed face. Does that mean Liu Longting likes me too? If he didn't, why would he go to such lengths to keep me safe and hurt others to maintain our relationship? She bit her lip, the realization settling in. The warmth in her chest grew stronger, but with it came an unsettling doubt. Can I trust him? She whispered to herself, feeling a weight of uncertainty pressing against her heart. Before Baijing could even begin to sort out her feelings for Liu Longting, Yinggu assigned them a few tasks. Thankfully, she wasn't facing them alone. Feng Qitian and Liu Longting were right by her side. One day, Baijing received a chilling call from Yao Na. You forced me to this, Baijing. I won't let you off. Before Baijing could react, the call ended. Seconds later, Yao Na's lifeless body lay sprawled on the ground below. Baijing's heart pounded violently in her chest, disbelief clouding her thoughts. How could this be? Yao Na, she whispered, a trembling hand covering her eyes. Inside the room, Feng Qitian sighed. "Look at me," he said. "You think you can save everyone, but the truth is, not everyone wants to be saved." She was caught with some rich guy. It spread through the school, and shame drove her to this. "It's not your fault," Lu Longting said calmly. Baijing abruptly stood up, her eyes sharp and accusing. "Was that you?" she demanded, her voice cold as ice. Lu Longting remained silent for a few moments before speaking. "Is that how you see me?" His tone was calm, but there was an underlying hurt. Baijing hesitated, her gaze wavering. I'm sorry. My mind is a mess right now. I really don't know what's happening," she admitted, avoiding his eyes. "Then just assume it was me," Lu Longting said with a bitter smile. "After all, I'm already that kind of person in your eyes." Without another word, he turned and left the room. Baijing stood frozen, guilt washing over her like a heavy tide. Baijing sighed, her chin resting on her folded arms as she stared blankly out the window. Days had passed, and Lu Longting hadn't come to see her. The weight of guilt pressed heavily on her chest. "Maybe I really misunderstood him. I hurt him, but I don't know how to ask for his forgiveness," she thought, frustration evident in her expression. Her fingers drummed lightly on the desk beside her phone. "But who told him to make people uneasy?" she muttered, trying to justify her own doubts. Suddenly, her phone vibrated, jolting her from her thoughts. She sat up straight, eyes widening as she grabbed it. It must be Lu Longting. Her heart pounded in anticipation. But as she glanced at the screen, the name displayed was unexpected. "Jingjing, when will you be back? There is someone here to see you." It was her grandma's voice on the other end. As Baijing stood in the living room, her eyes narrowed at the unexpected guest. "This guy is so good-looking," her grandmother whispered, nudging her playfully. "He looks like a star. Do you have a girlfriend?" Ignoring her grandmother's antics, Baijing crossed her arms. "Are you looking for me?" she asked coolly. The young man offered a polite smile, his voice smooth. "My name is Shui Tianze. Please don't mind my sudden visit. I've come to pick up Master Qi Tian." Baijing's thoughts raced. So, this person is Qi Tian's disciple. Is he the one Yinsu mentioned before? She pulled out a piece of paper, offering it to Shui Tianze. "Okay, I'll give you the note." Before she could finish, a voice thundered behind her. "What did you just say?" Baijing froze, the air turning tense. She turned to see Qi Tian standing there, looking utterly betrayed. "You just gave me away to others? But your real disciple is here, and I only promised Yinggu to be your temporary disciple," she argued. Just then, Lu Longting entered through the window. "And not if Lu," she started, but Qi Tian interrupted. "He's here." Her eyes widened in shock, seeing him standing there after days. The disciple stood with unwavering determination, his voice resolute as he addressed Qi Tian. "Please come back with me, master," he pleaded. "You once said that destiny binds us, that our paths were meant to be intertwined. How can you abandon me now?" "I refuse," Qi Tian's voice echoed, his decision resolute. "Why?" Baijing asked, stepping forward in concern. Qi Tian sighed, his voice softer this time. "The fate between us in this life is over. My debt to my disciple is clear." The disciple knelt before him, eyes filled with desperation. "Master, please reconsider. I was wrong. Please return with me. I can't do this without you." The tension snapped as Qi Tian turned away, his face unreadable. "No," he said firmly. "You must walk your own path now." Before Baijing could say anything more, the disciple slammed his head against the ground, over and over again. Baijing gasped, covering her mouth, panic rising within her. "What should I do? He's not strong enough to handle this," she thought, feeling helpless as Qi Tian stood silent, watching his disciple fall apart. "Since he doesn't want to go back with you, you should leave," Baijing suggested. The disciple stood up, his gaze unwavering. "No," he said firmly, "I won't leave without him. If you dare say another word, I'll kill you." Before Baijing could react, a loud bang echoed through the room. Lu Longting appeared out of nowhere, his hand tightening around the disciple's neck. "Say that again, if you dare," he growled, anger seething in his voice. "Let him go, Lu Longting," Baijing interjected. Lu Longting's eyes lingered on the disciple before finally releasing him. The disciple coughed, rubbing his throat, but his resolve didn't waver. "Fine," he spat. "I'll leave for now, but I'll be back." As his disciple left, Qi Tian thanked Baijing with a wide smile. "I knew you couldn't bear to let me go," he said affectionately. Lu Longting stood silently, watching the scene unfold before him. After a while, Lu Longting walked outside without a word. Bai Jing hesitated before calling after him. Lu Longting, wait for me. She rushed to catch up, her heart pounding in her chest. As she caught up, she looked at him curiously. Why are you walking fast? Are you angry? No, I am not, Lu Longting replied. Then, are you jealous? She asked mischievously. I wouldn't be jealous over you, he replied firmly. Then why did you leave when Qitian was talking to me? She pressed. I didn't want to disturb you two, he answered calmly. Bai Jing glanced at his face, a smile tugging at her lips. He looks so cute when he's jealous, she thought. As they continued walking, Bai Jing mused playfully. If I eloped with Feng Qitian and left a certain someone behind, wouldn't it be sad? Lu Longting's expression darkened instantly. Who is the certain someone? He asked coldly. She giggled but quickly covered her mouth. I don't know who it is, but Lu Longting, you're not worried someone might already love me so much they can't do without me, right? Lu Longting stopped in his tracks and looked at her seriously. I don't love you at all, he stated firmly. You owe me. Bai Jing's playful demeanor faltered for a moment, but before she could respond, Lu Longting continued, Because of your family, my fiancés died, so you should make it up to me. Bai Jing clenched her fists in frustration, thinking, This guy, his conscience has taken a dive down. She glared at him. Don't beg me to stay with you in the future, she murmured. At breakfast, Bai Jing sat with a frown. Why am I thinking about him? She sighed, poking at her food. Qitian noticed her mood and asked, What's wrong, Bai Jing? She huffed, It's that guy again, Lu Longting. He says he doesn't love me. Qitian chuckled. That's impossible. If he doesn't love you, how can he do those things to you? Bai Jing stirred her drink absent-mindedly. He keeps saying that my family killed his fiancée, so whatever I do is expected of me, she said quietly. If it's a grudge, then it's complicated, Qitian replied thoughtfully. But his fiancée should have been as strong as him. How could she have fallen at your family's hands? He asked, suspicion in his voice. I don't know, Bai Jing sighed, taking a sip of her drink leisurely. He said they sacrificed his fiancée to save me. Qitian looked at her curiously. So the question is, how did Longting's father get a snake with cultivation, and why didn't the snake family take revenge sooner, but let Lu Longting, who was not responsible, come? Bai Jing nodded thoughtfully. What Feng Qitian said is very reasonable, and the snake's family never seemed to mind the beginning of the feud, which is too unreasonable. Her eyes narrowed as a thought struck her. Could it be that there is something else hidden in this? Bai Jing sat on the balcony when her phone buzzed. The name on the screen made her sit up straight. Her mother. What's wrong, Jing? Her mother's voice came through the phone. Bai Jing hesitated before responding. Ah, about that. Her mother chuckled. Are you out of money? Mom will give you some more later. Bai Jing smiled awkwardly. No, there's something I want to ask you. As her mother paused, Bai Jing's fingers trembled slightly. About that day, when you were pregnant with me, you said you fell and... Her mother sighed. It was a long time ago, Jing. I did have an accident, but a man appeared and gave a snake to sacrifice so that I can save you. Do you remember what he looked like? Bai Jing asked hurriedly. He was very handsome and fair, like some celebrity, her mother described. Bai Jing's eyes widened. The description was an exact match to Lu Longting. I'll send you a picture. Could you confirm if it's him? She asked anxiously. Oh dear, it's been many years, but I'll try, her mother replied. Bai Jing's hands trembled. How could he have offered his fiancée to my family himself? He didn't even know me back then. Thoughts swirled chaotically in her mind. She quickly sent a picture of Lu Longting to her mother. Moments later, the reply came. That's him, Jing. How do you know him? The confirmation hit her like a thunderbolt. Her eyes widened in shock and the phone slipped from her grasp. He saved my mom and me, invaded my dreams, forced himself into my life, and now he refuses to admit he loves me. And worst of all, it was Lu Longting himself who orchestrated everything from the very beginning. Her mind raced. Bai Jing sat across from Lu Longting, her eyes sharp with accusation. So you were investigating me all along? He asked, his gaze dark and unreadable. Do I really need to investigate? Bai Jing shot back, her voice laced with anger. I called my mother and she confirmed it. Years ago, you deliberately sacrificed your so-called fiancé to my mother. Lu Longting remained silent for a moment before leaning forward. What else did you find? He asked, his tone calm. Bai Jing crossed her arms defiantly. There's nothing else for now, but when I have time, I will investigate everything. His lips curled into a bitter smile. No need, he said, rising to his feet. I'll tell you everything. Bai Jing's heart pounded as he leaned closer, his expression unreadable. Because I like you, he confessed in a low voice. But I can't have you, so I decided I'd ruin you for the rest of your life. Bai Jing's breath caught in her throat. She could feel the weight of his words, the truth unraveling right before her eyes. I want to avenge you by making you pregnant with my child. I want you to feel dirty whenever you think of me in the future, Lu Longting said coldly. Bai Jing's mind raced. What is he talking about? Before she could react, he suddenly grabbed her, his voice turning harsh. Don't you think I am not worthy of you? Then I'll show you the pain of being entangled in filthy things. His grip tightened, making her heart pound in fear. Lately, Lu Longting had been saying strange things, and his temper had worsened. Has he mistaken me for someone else? If that was the case, she knew what she had to do. Bai Jing's thoughts swirled in confusion. Lu Longting tied up her hands, his gaze dark and unrelenting. When you think of me in the future and how I humiliated you, won't you want to kill me? He asked, removing his changshan. Bai Jing lay still, silent. After a moment, she looked into his eyes and answered firmly, No. Lu Longting's eyes darkened further. He held her chin, his voice laced with bitterness. You won't even hate me? Am I not even worth your hate? He asked. Bai Jing met his gaze calmly, her eyes filled with innocence. Who do you love, and who do you hate? Who in the world are you talking to, Lu Longting? She asked gently. His expression faltered for a moment. Seizing the opportunity, Bai Jing raised her hand and wrapped it around his neck. I forgive this temporary lapse of mind, but no matter what happened in the previous life, this life has nothing to do with it. I am Bai Jing, she said firmly, holding him tightly. Lu Longting listened to her, as if being pulled back to reality. Bai Jing's voice softened. I know you won't hurt me or kill me. I am your disciple, and I have fallen in love with you, the Lu Longting who got hurt for me, the one who got jealous over me, she confessed, laying bare all her emotions. She looked straight into his eyes and asked, What about you? Do you like me? Lu Longting pulled her into a tight embrace. I love you, Bai Jing, he whispered. She didn't know if he was sincere in that moment, but she wished it to be true. Bai Jing found herself tied up under Lu Longting's intense gaze, her heart pounding in her chest. Hey, Lu Longting, what are you doing? Weren't you back to normal? She stammered, struggling against him. He smirked, his eyes gleaming with a dangerous glint. I didn't know you had such a fetish, she murmured, turning her face away from him. Do you know? He whispered, hovering above her and leaning in closer. When snakes hunt, they entangle their prey tightly until they suffocate. That's how they enjoy it. His grip tightened around her, sending an unfamiliar shiver down Bai Jing's spine. Now you are my prey, he added with a smirk, his hands roaming over her body. Bai Jing's face flushed crimson. Don't tease me. Hurry up if you're going to do it, she blurted out. Lu Longting's smirk deepened. It seems that my bride can't wait, he taunted, eyes dark with amusement. Your bride? Bai Jing gasped, her heart racing. Lu Longting leaned in closer, his voice dripping with satisfaction. Then I'll be glad to enjoy this. He moved to pull at her clothes, and Bai Jing yelped, Hey, hey, hey! Be restrained, my clothes are torn. With a swift motion, Lu Longting pinned her down. Keep your strength and bid later, he said. Later, as Bai Jing sat beside Lu Longting, his arms wrapped tightly around her, she turned to him with a serious expression. You said you were obsessed with me in my past life. Then tell me, who was I back then? She asked. Lu Longting hesitated, turning his face slightly away, as if reluctant to reveal everything. Come on, tell me, Bai Jing pressed, her curiosity growing. After a moment of silence, he finally spoke. In your previous life, you were Lady Silver Flower, he said, his voice calm but distant. You were one of the three main gods, but because you offended someone you shouldn't have. You were exiled to Earth. A lump formed in Bai Jing's throat. Exiled, she murmured, the weight of the revelation sinking in. Her mind raced with questions. If I was so powerful, then how could I have been exiled, she asked, her eyes searching his for answers. Lu Longting threw himself back on the bed, lying freely with his eyes closed. "You offended your husband who personally exiled you," he said nonchalantly. Baijing's face froze in shock. "My husband? I was married in my past life, yet you fell for me," she thought, clutching her head in confusion. "Then who was my husband back then?" she asked, turning to face him. Lu Longting remained silent, his expression unreadable, as if pretending to be asleep. Frustrated, Baijing nudged him. "Hey, we're not done yet. How can you sleep? Did you hear me?" she demanded. Before she could continue, his hand wrapped around her waist, pulling her down and pinning her to the bed, his golden eyes locked onto hers. "Does it matter now?" he asked, his voice low but commanding. "In this life, you can only belong to me," he declared. Baijing's breath hitched as he leaned closer. "Since you promised to love me, stop digging into your past life," he said firmly. "Understood?" Lying beneath him, Baijing remained silent, absorbing his words. As Baijing found herself back in her everyday life at the university, her professor, noticing her distraction, reminded her to reach out for help if needed. She nodded absent-mindedly, replying, "All right." Later, while sitting with her friend, the conversation shifted to their teacher's kind demeanor. "Especially to you, Baijing. Is he interested in you?" her friend teased. Baijing scoffed. "Nonsense, I have a boyfriend." "Huh? When did that happen?" her friend asked, raising an eyebrow. Realization struck Baijing. Although she couldn't say for sure, she couldn't exactly consider herself single, right? As she tried to push aside those thoughts, a junior student approached her hesitantly. "Senior Baijing, my name is Fan Meiqi. I heard you can exorcise ghosts, is that true?" Baijing's eyes widened. "How is that possible? How could I exorcise ghosts?" she said, trying to brush off the topic. The girl leaned in closer and whispered, "I can see them, you know? There are lots of them on campus, and they come out at night. I can even see yours." Baijing stood up, startled by the revelation. "Is my identity exposed? But this girl, she really seems special," she thought, studying her carefully. "Yes, she can see ghosts. She has the third eye," Qitian confirmed her suspicions. The girl looked nervous but determined. "Don't be afraid, senior sister. I'm not here to harm you," she said, fidgeting with the sleeve of her dress. "I need your help, to save someone. He is not human, nor a ghost, not even a demon," the girl whispered, her voice trembling. Baijing's brows furrowed. "Then what is it?" she asked. The girl hesitated before replying. "I can't tell, but he's someone our village worshipped. The people in the village will build roads in a few months, and the temple will be demolished. But if it's you, can you help me? Let me see him one last time," she pleaded desperately. Baijing sighed, sensing the girl's despair. "The things that are abandoned by others when they can't bring benefits will always be forgotten," Baijing muttered thoughtfully, looking at the girl with sympathy. "No wonder you are so sad. But if they are building roads, what can I do? I'm an outsider. Trying to stop them would seem odd, don't you think?" Baijing added, hesitating. The girl's eyes welled up with tears. She grabbed Baijing's hand. "I haven't seen him for a year. If the temple is gone, then there will be no hope," she said, her voice breaking. The girl looked at her with such hope, and Baijing knew she couldn't simply ignore her plea. "Don't look at me like that," Baijing exclaimed, flustered. Qitian's voice echoed in her mind. "Just promise her, as long as she can afford to pay, everything is fine," he chimed in nonchalantly. "Money, money. You only care about money," Baijing exclaimed, while Qitian ignored her as if he was deaf. "I have money. I can give it to you," the girl said hopefully. Baijing sighed. "I never said it was just about money," she replied. "Then I guess we have a deal," the girl said, bowing politely. Qitian's proud voice suddenly rang from behind. "Isn't my business skill great?" "Thank you, Baijing," the girl said, her piercing red eyes staring intently. After a long journey, they finally reached Ava village. Baijing panted, glancing at Meiqi, who was carrying a heavy load. "Slow down, Meiqi. You're carrying too much stuff. Don't you need help?" she asked, wiping the sweat from her forehead. Meiqi smiled, shaking her head. "No, I'm fine. It's not heavy, and we're almost home," she replied. Baijing couldn't help but notice Lu Longting staring at Meiqi for a long time. Feeling a bit uneasy, she nudged him. "Is she pretty?" she teased. Lu Longting, disguised behind his sunglasses, whispered, "Don't stray too far from me. This woman might not be what she seems." She could be a spirit that has already returned to the afterlife. Bai Jing's eyes widened in shock. What do you mean? She blurted out, but Lu Longting quickly covered her mouth. Keep quiet and keep moving, he instructed firmly. His gaze remained locked on Meiqi. Anyone else carrying this much stuff would have marks on their hands, but she has none, he added, his expression darkening with suspicion. As they arrived at the entrance of the village under the eerie glow of the crescent moon, Meiqi finally announced, "We are here." The door slowly opened, revealing a pale, bony hand that trembled slightly. From the darkness beyond, an elderly voice croaked, "Meiqi, you are back." An old woman, clad in traditional attire, peeked out cautiously, her eyes scanning the unfamiliar faces. Meiqi introduced Bai Jing to her parents. "Hello, uncle and aunt." Bai Jing greeted them warmly. "Oh my, you've come all this way," the elderly woman said with a kind smile. "Come in," the older man said, stepping aside to let them enter. As they walked inside, everything was pitch dark. "Auntie, it's a bit too dark. Could you turn on the light?" Bai Jing asked hesitantly. The old woman quickly turned on the lights. "Sorry, the villagers are used to it. Please come in," she said apologetically. Bai Jing nodded slightly, but an uneasy feeling settled in her chest. Something about this place felt a little strange. At the dinner table, an assortment of homemade dishes was placed in front of them. "These are all home-cooked dishes. Please enjoy," Meiqi's mother said. Bai Jing smiled awkwardly, glancing at the delicious food. Lu Longting, seated beside her, examined the dishes suspiciously, while Bai Jing muttered to herself, "I want to eat, but I don't feel well because of long traveling." She glanced at Meiqi and her father, feeling a pang of worry. If they discovered their daughter was no longer alive, it would break their hearts. Suddenly, Qiqian's small voice whispered, "Hey Bai Jing, let me eat, I'm really hungry." Meiqi's mother approached with another dish, offering it to Bai Jing with a warm smile. "It's fine, auntie. We can help ourselves. You really don't have to," Bai Jing said awkwardly, trying to remain polite while feeling uneasy. Meanwhile, Lu Longting was carefully observing everything around him, his sharp gaze scanning the room. He pointed towards the window and asked, "Is there a fire outside?" Startled, Meiqi and her parents hurried to the window to check, peering outside in concern. Taking advantage of the distraction, Qiqian swiftly devoured the dishes in front of him, his hunger getting the best of him. When Meiqi's parents returned to the table and saw the empty plates, her mother asked in surprise, "Have you already eaten?" Before Bai Jing could answer, Meiqi's father reassured her, "It must be someone cooking outside in the village. There's nothing to worry about." "Yes, I ate quite fast," Bai Jing replied awkwardly, trying to cover up the truth. Meanwhile, Meiqi's piercing crimson eyes study her intently. As they finished dinner, Meiqi stood up and said with a gentle smile, "Everyone must be tired today. If you're done, we should get some rest. We also need to visit the temple tomorrow." Bai Jing quickly grabbed Lu Longting's arm and nodded. "Yes, you're right. I'm really exhausted. Could you please show us our room so we can turn in for the night?" Before Bai Jing could say another word, Meiqi gently took her hand and said, "Bai Jing, in our house, couples can't sleep in the same room before marriage." Bai Jing's eyes widened in surprise, but before she could respond, Meiqi pulled her away without giving her a chance to protest. Bai Jing glanced back at Lu Longting with a worried expression, silently seeking reassurance. Meanwhile, Lu Longting sat still, lost in thought, his expression unreadable. Bai Jing quickly fell asleep, exhausted from the day's events. Even in her slumber, she could sense something lurking in the darkness. But lacking the strength to wake up, she chose to ignore it and sank deeper into sleep. The next morning, Meiqi guided Bai Jing and the others toward the village temple. Bai Jing asked Meiqi if she had possessed special eyes since childhood. Meiqi explained that being born in the Yin family during the Yin hour gave her a unique energy, allowing her to see things normal people couldn't. Curious, Bai Jing inquired about when she first met the person in the temple. Meiqi revealed that due to her ability, no one wanted to befriend her as a child. The only one who ever extended a hand of friendship was that person, and over time, she developed feelings for him. Lu Longting, who had been silently observing, suddenly asked if Meiqi's parents and the villagers knew about their relationship. Bai Jing scolded him for ruining the mood and urged him to be more understanding of Meiqi's feelings. However, before their argument could continue, Meiqi's demeanor changed. Her expression twisted, and she suddenly bolted away. Startled, Baijing called after her, but Lu Longting stopped her, his expression grave. He explained that Meiqi, her parents, and the entire village had already died. The reason Meiqi brought them here had two possibilities. Either she had lingering regrets, or something was manipulating her into luring food to the village. Baijing stiffened at the word food. Lu Longting clarified that both immortals and humans alike were considered prey in this place. Qiqian added that it now made sense why the food he ate last night tasted strange. It was likely human flesh, causing Baijing to vomit in horror. As they arrived at the temple, they realized there were no construction workers present. Upon opening the doors, they saw a single marble statue of a godlike man radiating a faint glow. Qiqian, confused, grabbed the statue, inspecting it closely. Lu Longting identified the figure as Yin Guan, a deity who practiced both righteous and demonic paths, making him both good and evil. The villagers, being deeply religious, must have destroyed the god they once worshipped. The reason for this could be either that they stopped benefiting from him or that Yin Guan himself had crossed a line. Lu Longting believed the latter was true. Something had happened that led to the village's demise, and only Yin Guan had the power to do it. Baijing pieced everything together and asked if it was because of his relationship with Meiqi. Lu Longting confirmed her suspicion. The villagers no longer saw him as a god after discovering his forbidden desire. They punished Meiqi for it, leading to her tragic death, and in response, Yin Guan annihilated the village. Baijing concluded that everything Yin Guan did was for love, but one question remained. How did Meiqi's parents come back to life? Before she could think further, the statue suddenly spoke. It revealed that everything was an illusion, a painting created by Yin Guan himself, and that they too were currently trapped within it. Shocked, Baijing threw the statue away. Qiqian questioned why they had been lured here, but Yin Guan explained that it was not his doing. Meiqi had brought them here. Having revived, she no longer recognized him and wanted to free the souls he had trapped. After years of cultivation, he created this painting world to preserve the past, but now, even Meiqi no longer remembered him. He was tired of this suffering and wished to disappear. If they helped shatter this world, he could finally be free. Baijing quickly asked what would happen if they failed. Yin Guan coldly replied that they would remain trapped here with him until they died. Despite multiple attempts to break free, nothing worked, and exhaustion settled over them. Baijing grew anxious, worrying that Lu Longting was suffering because of her. Lu Longting reassured her, suggesting that Meiqi had once mentioned her only wish was to see Yin Guan one last time. Perhaps revealing this to him would solve the problem. Finding the idea reasonable, Baijing hurried to the statue, desperately explaining that Meiqi didn't seek revenge, she only wanted to see him again. But the statue remained motionless, unresponsive. Fear swelled within Baijing. She didn't want Lu Longting to suffer because of her. In desperation, she offered herself in exchange for Lu Longting's freedom. Finally, the statue's eyes opened, and Yin Guan spoke. He stated they were free to go, as he had only trapped them to reunite with Meiqi. Before letting them leave, he warned Baijing that becoming involved with an immortal would only lead to sorrow. Before the conversation could continue, Meiqi appeared. Her expression darkened with intent to kill Yin Guan. She struck at him, her voice filled with resentment. She demanded to know why he had killed her parents, why he had let her suffer, and why, after everything she endured for him, he would not allow her to reincarnate. Meanwhile, Lu Longting began chanting a mantra to protect Baijing. Yin Guan, realizing the depth of her pain, passed his figure to Meiqi, giving her the chance to take her revenge. With all her strength, Meiqi shattered the statue, unable to stop herself until Baijing hugged her from behind, pleading for her to stop. Yin Guan was already gone. Coming to her senses, Meiqi thanked Baijing for helping her find peace. As her form began to disappear, she turned to Baijing with a final warning. "Don't end up like me." And with that, she vanished, her lingering regrets finally laid to rest. Lu Longting lit the fort, ensuring that the souls could finally rest in peace. As Baijing watched him carefully pick up the broken statue, she frowned. "Why are you keeping broken things?" she asked. Lu Longting glanced at the shattered figure in his hand and replied calmly, "You never know when something might become useful." Later, as Baijing was washing dishes at home, her thoughts drifted to Yin Guan's words. Would she and Lu Longting one day fall out of love and end up destroying each other? The thought unsettled her. As she got ready to leave for school, Lu Longting, sensing her unease, stood up and asked, "Is something bothering you? You look uncomfortable." Baijing quickly denied it, brushing past him in a hurry to leave. Before she could step out, Lu Longting caught her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "Let's get married," he murmured, his voice gentle yet firm. Baijing froze, caught off guard. Seeing her stunned expression, he explained, "If we marry, we can justify our relationship and live together without worry." Then, unable to resist teasing her, he softly bit her neck. Baijing's mind raced. If one day Lu Longting no longer loved her, would she end up like Meiqi? "Isn't it too early for marriage?" she asked hesitantly. Lu Longting's expression darkened. "Are you ashamed to admit that your husband is not human, but a snake spirit?" His golden eyes narrowed. "Or, do you have feelings for that teacher at your school?" Hearing him mention her teacher, Baijing snapped. "Why are you bringing him into this?" Lu Longting scoffed. "Then tell me why he takes special care of you. Do you want a clear relationship with me or not?" Frustrated, Baijing stormed out of the house without answering. At school, while she was painting, she overheard a few girls whispering that their teacher had been injured, apparently attacked by a snake. Baijing's hand trembled. Was it Lu Longting? It was entirely possible, but at the same time, she doubted that he would actually kill someone. As she was lost in thought, her phone rang. It was Yinggu, the fortune teller. Baijing answered politely, but Yinggu immediately complained. "Have you forgotten about me?" Then, in a serious tone, she asked, "Did Lu Longting kill someone last night?" Baijing was startled. How did Yinggu already know about the teacher's incident? Staying composed, she replied, "That's impossible. Lu Longting was with me." Yinggu chuckled darkly. "Don't forget, no matter how human he seems, Lu Longting is still an animal at his core. I once knew an immortal who killed my husband out of jealousy and greed. Baijing, you must never trust Lu Longting completely." After the call ended, Baijing's mind was flooded with doubts. Everything felt too coincidental, as if someone was deliberately trying to frame Lu Longting. When she returned home, Lu Longting was already there, bringing food. He smirked. "How did you become so smart all of a sudden? You didn't blame me and actually trusted me." Baijing sighed. "Because everything feels too scripted. I know it wasn't you." Lu Longting's expression darkened. "What did Yinggu say to you?" Baijing explained everything, including Yinggu's warning to stay cautious around him. His eyes burned with anger. Qiqian, who had been lazily snacking nearby, casually chimed in, "I know who Yinggu's immortal is. It's Old Hu. He's been following her family for years and even refused to ascend because of them. He would never kill her husband." Baijing's interest piqued. "Were they in love?" she asked excitedly. Qiqian scoffed. "Not every immortal is like your Lu Longting. If they weren't connected in their past lives, it's hard for an immortal to develop those feelings." It seemed that Yinggu had once liked Old Hu, but never acted on it. After her husband died, she became bitter, and seeing Baijing easily obtain what she longed for must have triggered her jealousy. As Baijing absent-mindedly munched on snacks, Lu Longting wiped the chocolate off her lips and, without hesitation, licked the remaining chocolate off his fingers. Qiqian paused mid-bite, staring at him in disgust. Lu Longting continued, "The ghost in your room was also sent by Yinggu to check if we were together, and now she sent a local snake to attack your teacher to cause misunderstandings between us." Baijing's concern for her teacher grew, but Lu Longting reassured her, "I've already taken care of it." As he discussed the situation with Qiqian, Baijing felt guilty for having doubted him earlier. That night, lying in bed, her thoughts wandered. What kind of connection did she have with Lu Longting in her past life? Before she could dwell on it further, Lu Longting entered the room after a bath, his voice smooth as he called her name. Leaning over her, he whispered, "I helped you today? Shouldn't I get a reward?" Baijing blinked. What kind of reward? Instead of answering, Lu Longting leaned closer, capturing her lips in a deep, passionate kiss. The next day, Lu Longting brought Baijing to the festival, where extraordinary people and their immortals gathered. He explained that on the day the Dragon King ascended to the heavens, all immortals came here to pay their respects and seek his blessing. As the festival began, Lu Longting led Baijing ahead. Soon, a giant dragon raised its head, and Baijing, excited, ran forward to capture the moment. Lu Longting stood behind, letting her enjoy herself. However, as she got closer, the Dragon King's eyes darkened, and he suddenly strode towards her. Lu Longting immediately noticed and called out for Baijing to step aside. "It's coming for me," he said. I have to face it. Before Lu Longting could strike first, the Dragon King attacked, sending him crashing to the ground as blood spilled from his wounds. The Dragon King coiled around him tightly. Bai Jing rushed forward in a panic, but the Dragon King roared, stopping everyone in their tracks. I will bring justice, he declared. Qi quickly stepped in, shielding Bai Jing and confronting the Dragon King. Taking on his human form, he challenged the deity. The Dragon King declared that Lu Longting had taken lives within his jurisdiction and must answer for his crimes. Qi, unfazed, gestured toward Bai Jing. Before you pass judgment, look at her face clearly, he said. Bai Jing stepped forward, trying to de-escalate the situation before it worsened. As the Dragon King finally took a closer look at her, he hesitated. Qi pressed on. Think carefully before making your decision. It's better to let this go, he warned. After a tense moment, the Dragon King finally retreated but issued a warning. If another immortal kills Lu Longting, do not blame me, he said before ascending back into the heavens. As soon as he left, Bai Jing ran to Lu Longting, trying to help him up. Are you okay? She asked, her voice filled with concern. Weakly, he responded, but before he could say more, his human form faded, revealing his original snake form. Bai Jing panicked and called out for Qiqian's help. He quickly suggested that they take Lu Longting back home first. Once they arrived, the old man began the healing process. Meanwhile, Bai Jing turned to Qitian. Thank you, she said. You knew I was Lady Silverflower. That's why you were able to stop the Dragon King so quickly. Qitian swiftly denied her claim. I only used that to save Lu Longting, he said. Then he narrowed his eyes. Who told you that you were Lady Silverflower? Bai Jing pointed toward the room where Lu Longting was receiving treatment. Seeing that he was now somewhat conscious, she rushed to his side. Are you feeling better? She asked anxiously. If you want something to eat, I'll bring it for you. Qitian scoffed. No human food will help an immortal recover, he stated. Worried, Bai Jing hurriedly asked, then what will help him regain his strength? Qitian suggested that Lu Longting return to the mountains to recover quickly. Without hesitation, Bai Jing turned to Lu Longting. I'll pack my things right away, and we can leave soon, she said eagerly. Seeing her enthusiasm, Lu Longting grabbed her hand, stopping her. You don't need to go with me, he said. I can go alone. You need to stay and attend school. Bai Jing insisted, even agreeing to leave school, but Lu Longting didn't allow it. In the end, Lu Longting left for the mountains alone, and their long-distance relationship began. Bai Jing attended her classes as usual, but worry consumed her. What if that princess proposed to Lu Longting behind her back again? The thought made her miss him even more. One day, her classmate Wang Hong approached her. I heard you're taking on work, he said. I have a job offer for you, and you'll be paid for it. However, Bai Jing wasn't in the mood, so she told him to contact her later. Time passed, and it had already been a month since she last saw Lu Longting, but soon a smile appeared on her face. Vacation was near. Qitian, however, was annoyed by her attitude. You're acting lovesick, he scoffed. This is love, Bai Jing replied. You wouldn't understand. Qitian sneered. You think I don't? Bai Jing tilted her head. Then explain it to me. Losing control, Qitian suddenly grabbed her shoulders. I'm also a man, he blurted out. And you always occupy my thoughts and my heart. The moment the words left his mouth, regret flashed across his face. Releasing her, he turned away. Forget everything I said, he muttered. Pretend you never heard it. He left the room without looking back. Bai Jing sat there, stunned. Qitian liked her? The thought felt awkward and impossible. She had never imagined it, and in the end, she belonged to Lu Longting. Thinking of him again made her miss him terribly. With a clear resolve, she stood up. She had to go see him. The next day, they took a flight to the mountains where Lu Longting was staying. Yet, Qitian's words still echoed in her mind. He had once confessed that if she ever lost faith in him, he would die sooner or later. That was why he sometimes envied Lu Longting. But Bai Jing determined that she wouldn't lose faith. She would always believe in him. Soon, they arrived at the airport. Bai Jing looked around and quickly spotted Lu Longting. His handsome face came into view as he asked about her trip. Without a second thought, she ran towards him, wrapping her arms around him tightly. She had missed him so much. Qitian murmured under his breath, how blind can someone be in love? Lu Longting's eyes darkened as he looked at him. Why are you here? As the tension between them grew, Bai Jing quickly wrapped her arms around both of them, trying to calm the situation before another argument broke out. Wang Hong brought Bai Jing and Qitian to an antique shop owned by his friend. He explained that a woman in a cheongsam appeared in his friend's house at midnight, wandering around but never showing up during the day. Whenever she arrived, his friend felt as if something was pinching him, but the sensation disappeared when she left. Bai Jing suggested that it might be due to something unclean in the antique shop. Qitian checked all the items, but couldn't find the source. Bai Jing turned to Qitian, asking for his thoughts, but Wang Hong, seeing her talk to someone invisible, grew fearful. Bai Jing reassured him, explaining that Qitian was a deity and there was nothing to fear. Qitian suggested they wait until nightfall, since he wasn't sure about the situation either. As night fell, Bai Jing and Qitian stayed inside the house, waiting. While they were bickering over something trivial, Qitian suddenly covered her mouth, sensing movement. As expected, the woman in a cheongsam appeared, holding a broom. Her energy was strong. Qitian warned Bai Jing not to move and entered her body to protect her. Bai Jing shut her eyes, pretending to be asleep. The woman hovered over her, staring, but suddenly she noticed something inside Bai Jing's stomach. Her eyes flickered with shock before she suddenly struck Bai Jing with all her strength. With Qitian's help, Bai Jing quickly countered, knocking the spirit to the ground. The woman mumbled again about something big inside Bai Jing before she was struck again, this time weakening. The straw from her broom began to fall from her cheek as she knelt down, pleading for forgiveness from the big lord. Startled, Bai Jing asked Qitian who she was referring to, but before he could answer, 2 snakes slithered in. They were the same ones Liu Longting had captured earlier at Ma Jiangguo's house. The snakes encircled the woman, making her scream in terror. In an instant, every inch of her body turned into broom straw, and she disappeared. Bai Jing sat there in shock. "That's it? It's over so fast?" she muttered. Qitian, unfazed, reminded her to collect their payment. But Bai Jing was still lost in thought. Why had such a beautiful spirit appeared here? Wang Hong, who had been waiting outside, rushed in. "Will she never appear again?" he asked. Qitian, still inside Bai Jing's body, explained that the broom spirit dated back to the Song dynasty. It haunted houses at night, and even experts struggled to find its source. Legend had it that a monk once saw a woman buying flowers and repeatedly entering and leaving a house. When he followed her, he found an unused broom placed near the flowers. The belief in the broom had given it spiritual energy, allowing it to manifest as a spirit. It then tormented the house's family. To end its curse, the monk burned the broom, but the spirit continued to wander. It was said that if a broom remained untouched by sunlight for 3 years, it would turn evil and bring destruction to its owner's family. Wang Hong was stunned. He had heard such stories as a child, but never believed them. Meanwhile, Qitian finally detached from Bai Jing's body. Bai Jing's thoughts lingered on Qitian's earlier words. Human belief was a powerful force. It could create gods, but it could also destroy them. If people stopped believing in Qitian, would he disappear too? But apart from that, another worry settled in her heart. The broom spirit had mentioned something about a big god inside her. What did that mean? Even though Liu Longting and Qitian had assured her everything was fine, Bai Jing secretly went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor listened to the heartbeat and assured her the child was healthy. But Bai Jing was certain that once the doctor saw the scan, she would be shocked. As the doctor casually asked about the father, a masked figure suddenly appeared and knocked her unconscious. Bai Jing's eyes widened in alarm as she was restrained. "Who are you?" she demanded. The man removed his mask, his voice cold. "Did you really come for a checkup without telling Liu Longting?" Bai Jing was stunned. It was the mountain god. Hadn't he been inside her body? He explained that too many cultivators were around, so he had to be careful not to be caught. Bai Jing recalled how he once offered to help her get rid of Liu Longting, but now she didn't want that. She didn't want to harm Liu Longting. Pushing the mountain god away, she said firmly, "I don't need your help." His expression darkened. Grabbing her throat, he growled, "How dare you reject me?" Bai Jing gasped for air, but she forced herself to stay calm. "I saved you once," she reminded him. "If anything happens to my child, Liu Longting will kill you." The mountain god smirked. "Do you think I wouldn't dare?" He placed a large hand on her stomach, making Bai Jing tense. But then, as if changing his mind, he pulled away. "I don't bother with women and children," he said indifferently. However, before leaving, his gaze turned sharp. "Liu Longting killed me once. I will take my revenge." With that, he disappeared. Bai Jing sat down, her hands trembling. If something happened to her child, she no longer wanted to live either. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "What do I do?" Suddenly, a familiar voice rang from the door. "This is why I didn't want you going to the hospital." Baijing turned to see Lu Longting standing there. "I called, but you didn't answer," he continued. "So I followed your scent here." He walked toward her, his gaze softening as he placed a hand over her stomach. "This child isn't normal," he murmured. "I was worried." Baijing sniffled. "Do you care about me or just the child? You said before you only wanted a child." Lu Longting gently wiped her tears. "How could I not care about you?" he said. "I love you so much that I couldn't bear to tell you the truth." He leaned in. "Promise me you won't cry again." Baijing murmured a response, but before she could say anything else, Lu Longting sealed her lips with a deep, affectionate kiss. Meanwhile, the doctor, who had just regained consciousness, blinked in confusion. She had fainted, but now she saw a couple lost in their own world. "What just happened?" she mumbled. Somewhere, a boy drowned in the river. Suddenly, hands emerged from the water, circling around him and pulling him toward the riverbank. As he regained consciousness, he looked around and saw a red strap lying beside him. Clutching it tightly, he brought his hands together in a solemn vow. One day, he would return and marry the one who had saved him. Later, the boy's mother contacted Baijing and Lu Longting, pleading with them to save him. The boy had returned, insisting on marrying the girl from the river. Since Baijing and Lu Longting had solved many cases involving spirits, more people had started seeking their help. The woman led them to where her son was tied with ropes, his strange behavior worrying them. The boy sat still, his expression blank, like an empty shell. Lu Longting observed him carefully and declared, "His soul has been taken. We have to find it for him to recover." He brought out a rope, explaining that they would tie it to the boy and let him lead them to his lost soul. As soon as they untied the rope binding him to the pole, the boy immediately ran. Lu Longting quickly called out for Baijing to follow at a slower pace while he chased after him. As expected, the boy arrived at the riverbank. Lu Longting turned back angrily. "Who gave you our names for this case?" The woman hesitated before answering. "It was Ying Gu. I went to her first, but she said she couldn't handle this case and suggested you instead." Lu Longting's expression darkened. "Do you think she sent you here because she thought we could solve this?" "No one can. It's a river god's marriage, accepted by both parties. No one would dare interfere with that." The woman fell to her knees. "Please, there must be a way. He's my only son." Lu Longting sighed and asked, "Did your son accept any betrothal gift?" The woman hesitated before admitting, "It was a red belt, but I threw it away, thinking it was worthless." Baijing stepped forward. "Then what's the solution?" Lu Longting thought for a moment. They had already accepted the case, and backing out now would affect their good karma. He also couldn't take any risks, especially with Baijing's pregnancy. "There is a way, but it's troublesome," he admitted. "I'll take the boy's place and become the groom." Baijing immediately rejected the idea. "We haven't even had our own wedding yet. How can I let this happen?" Lu Longting lightly tapped her head. "It's just a pretense. Our marriage plans remain the same." He instructed Baijing to stay back, hold the string, and run if anything went wrong. "We can't fight right now," he warned. Standing in place of the boy, Lu Longting watched as the river suddenly parted in two, and a large figure emerged. Its face was covered. It was the river god. The deity stepped onto the riverbank, heading toward Lu Longting. But before he reached him, his gaze shifted. Suddenly, he turned toward Baijing and grabbed her hand. Baijing's mind raced. Was this some technique to suppress Lu Longting? But then, the river god pulled her into his embrace. Lu Longting's expression darkened. "She's mine," he warned. The river god tilted his head. "I'm simply taking my bride home." Lu Longting stepped forward. "Take me instead. Leave Baijing out of this." But the river god ignored him. Baijing, realizing the situation was worsening, quickly spoke up. "But you're a woman, aren't you? How can I be your bride?" The river god chuckled, removed his mask, revealing a striking androgynous face. "I am a river god. I can take any form, man or woman." Lu Longting's patience snapped. "Let her go." The river god smirked, placing Baijing down. "If you want her back, fight me." Lu Longting, still weakened from his injuries, was in no condition to fight, but he refused to back down. The river god attacked first, waves of water trapping Lu Longting in their grasp. Despite his weakened state, he struggled against the force, shouting for Baijing to run. But Baijing couldn't move. Her heart clenched at the sight of Lu Longting's suffering. Determined, she made her choice. "I'll go with you," she told the river god. "But let Lu Longting go." Without hesitation, the river god swept Baijing into his arms and carried her away. At his palace, the river god informed Baijing, "You'll stay with me tonight. Tomorrow, we'll visit the temple." Seeing her discomfort, he changed his appearance, assuming a gentler form. But Baijing didn't waver. "I'm pregnant with Lu Longting's child. I expect you to understand." The river god paused before speaking. "I will not separate you, but," he smirked. "You love Lu Longting, but he doesn't love you." Baijing's heart clenched. "That's not true. He saved me so many times." "Do you want to know the real reason?" He chuckled, then shook his head. "Secrets shouldn't be revealed so easily." Then, his expression grew serious. "If you insist on staying with that white snake, even knowing you'll lose him one day, then tell me, do you truly want this?" Baijing, determined, nodded. "Yes, I love him, and I will stay by his side, no matter what." The river god chuckled. "What an interesting love story between a silly girl and a cunning snake. I must watch this unfold." With a smile, he added, "If you ever need help in the future, you can be my disciple." Baijing frowned. "I don't need another immortal." But the river god ignored her protests. Hovering above her, he marked her neck with his energy. "This will be my sign," he murmured. "From now on, I'm your immortal." As he placed his lips on the mark, Baijing drifted into unconsciousness. Back at the riverbank, Lu Longting waited anxiously. The river god kept his promise, returning Baijing safely, along with the boy's lost soul. As Baijing stepped toward Lu Longting, he immediately noticed the mark on her neck. His worst fear had come true. Frustrated and jealous, he grabbed her, pulling her close and claiming her lips in a possessive kiss. As he pulled away, he glared at the river god. "Baijing is my woman. Don't think you can take her away." The river god smirked. "I only gave her a choice. But remember, choosing Lu Longting will only bring you suffering." With those parting words, he vanished. As they returned home, Lu Longting transformed back into his original form, but his silence weighed heavily between them. Baijing sensed his anger, but couldn't understand why he refused to talk to her. Worried and confused, she turned to the old doctor, who explained that while Lu Longting was powerful, his injuries were directly linked to her. Baijing was startled. How could she have caused this? The old doctor elaborated that because Lu Longting had made her his being, many of his abilities now depended on her. However, since she hadn't yet mastered the 7 tricks, he was left vulnerable when he was struck by the Qiqiao. Baijing, still confused, asked what that meant, and the doctor explained that Qiqiao were vital acupuncture points located on the hands, feet, and neck. If these points were attacked, they could break bones and cause immense damage. The realization hit Baijing hard. If she remained weak, Lu Longting would continue sacrificing himself to protect her. The old doctor advised her to pursue Lu Longting and try to mend the tension between them. He then noticed something on her neck and pointed it out. Baijing, startled, pulled out a mirror and saw the mark left by the river god. Her eyes widened in shock, so this was why Lu Longting was angry. Determined to confront him, Baijing entered his room as he practiced his manhwa. However, Lu Longting still refused to acknowledge her, standing up to change the bandages on his wounds without uttering a single word. Baijing tried everything, teasing him, coaxing him, but nothing worked. His anger only grew when she tried to explain why she had chosen to go with the river god. She insisted that she had been afraid he would be hurt again, but her words did nothing to soothe him. Lu Longting's patience snapped. His voice was cold as he declared that, under no circumstances, would he allow his woman to leave him for another man. Baijing, frustrated, retorted that he was always rude to her at times like this, and maybe she should have just stayed with the river god. But before she could finish, Lu Longting seized her, his golden eyes dark with possessiveness. "No one can take what belongs to me," he declared. Irritated by the mark on her neck, he bit down hard in the same spot, as if trying to erase the river god's presence. Baijing gasped at his sudden intensity as he laid her down on the bed, hovering over her, his expression unreadable. She tried to reason with him, but he silenced her with a deep, fervent kiss. It was clear, he didn't want to hear another man's name on her lips. As he pulled away, his grip tightened around her waist. "You are mine, even if I die," he whispered. Later, as they lay in bed, Baijing's mind drifted back to what the old doctor had said about the 7 tricks. If she learned them, maybe she could stand by Lu Longting's side without being a burden. The next morning, Baijing busied herself in the kitchen, preparing nourishing meals for Lu Longting. Just as she finished, the doorbell rang. She rushed to open it, only to be greeted by an unexpected visitor. As Baijing Qitian and her grandmother sat together, her grandmother wasted no time getting to the point. She had arranged a blind date for Baijing. Shocked, Baijing immediately declined, making excuses. But deep down, she knew the real reason. Her grandmother had never approved of Liu Longting. Her grandmother pressed on, insisting that she wanted Baijing to have a well-mannered husband. But just as she was describing the perfect man, the complete opposite walked through the door. Liu Longting. Baijing inwardly cringed. It was the worst timing. Before she could react, Liu Longting grabbed her hand and spoke firmly. "Don't be surprised. I'll handle it." Baijing blinked in confusion. "Handle what?" His expression turned serious. "Your mother is being hunted." Baijing's heart dropped. "By who?" Liu Longting revealed that it was Yao Na, her former roommate, who had died a month ago. Baijing froze. Why would Yao Na target her mother? It all made sense. Baijing and her grandmother were surrounded by immortals, but her mother was the weakest link. She was an easy target. Still lost in thought, she didn't notice when Liu Longting approached her again. He explained that Qiqian had already put her grandmother to sleep, but there was something unusual about this case. Yao Na had only been dead for a month. Typically, spirits didn't gain enough power to haunt so quickly. That meant someone else was pulling the strings. Worried, Baijing anxiously asked about her mother's condition. At that moment, Liu Longting received a message from his informant. He opened it, revealing a picture of Baijing's mother. She looked terrible. The next day, Liu Longting and Baijing arrived at her mother's place, only to find her in a dire state. She had been kidnapped, and the trauma had taken a toll on her mind. Her vacant eyes held no recognition, not even for her own daughter. Baijing stood frozen, horror washing over her as she took in her mother's condition. How could Yao Na go this far? Just because Baijing had a slightly better life than her, she had resorted to harming her family? Anger flared in Baijing's chest, burning hotter with each passing second. Liu Longting assessed the situation calmly. He explained that Yao Na had taken Baijing's mother's soul, which was why she had fallen into such a state. As long as they retrieved it, she would recover. Baijing clenched her fists, determination hardening her features. She refused to let Yao Na destroy her family any further. If this had all started because of her, then she would be the one to end it. Liu Longting, unwavering as ever, stood beside her. No matter what path she chose, he would follow. Following a lead, they arrived at a location where Yao Na was believed to be hiding. Liu Longting cast a spell over Baijing, allowing her to see the hidden entities lurking in the area. The girl accompanying them revealed the name of a person behind it, Shui Tianze. The revelation sent a shock through both Baijing and Liu Longting. Shui Tianze. He was none other than Qiqian's original disciple, the one who had come to take Qiqian back. But Qiqian had refused to return. Now it was clear that Shui Tianze harbored a grudge. Losing Qiqian meant his family had lost their deity's blessing. Before they could process this information fully, an eerie noise echoed through the space. The presence of something sinister grew stronger. Then, as expected, Yao Na appeared. Baijing's eyes flickered toward the strange, writhing entities surrounding her. Curious, she turned to Liu Longting for an answer. He explained that they were remnants of powerful beings, twisted and repurposed by demonic cultivators to enhance their own immortality. Liu Longting moved to handle the situation, but Baijing instinctively reached out, stopping him. She remembered the old doctor's words, how weak she was, how much Liu Longting had suffered for her. She couldn't let it happen again. "Don't go." Her voice trembled but held firm. Liu Longting turned to her, puzzled. Didn't she want to save her mother? Baijing's heart pounded. She wanted to deal with it, but not at the cost of Liu Longting's safety. They had outwitted the river god together. Perhaps they could find another way. She pleaded with him not to put himself at risk. Liu Longting paused for a moment before kneeling in front of her, lifting a hand to his chin, studying her expression with quiet amusement. "Are you worried about me?" Baijing hesitated, then admitted the truth. Because she was weak, he kept getting hurt. It was unbearable to watch. Liu Longting chuckled lightly, patting her head in reassurance. Then, with his usual calm demeanor, he made a proposal. "If I return safely this time, will you give me a reward?" Baijing blinked, caught off guard. What reward did he mean? A gentle smile played on Liu Longting's lips as he spoke his next words. "Let's get married, Baijing." Liu Longting left with a final request for Baijing to wait for him. As expected, with his strength, he swiftly captured Yao Na and released Baijing's mother's soul. The other spirits, terrified by his presence, quickly retreated. Finally, everything had come to an end. Yet, Baijing couldn't shake an uneasy feeling. Perhaps it was because Yao Na had once been her friend, making it difficult to completely detach from the situation. Later, as she soaked in the bath, lost in thought, Liu Longting arrived to check on her. Baijing, startled, questioned his presence, but he simply teased her, remarking that if she stayed in the bath any longer, she might just turn into a mermaid. Curious, Baijing brought up a thought that had been lingering in her mind. Why had those little spirits been so afraid of him? For a brief moment, Liu Longting's hand paused at her words. However, he quickly composed himself and leaned in, whispering playfully into her ear. Baijing, flustered, asked him to leave, but he held onto her hand, reminding her about the reward he was promised. She sighed and finally agreed to discuss marriage with her grandmother. Satisfied, Liu Longting pressed a soft kiss onto her forehead before leaving Baijing red-faced, realizing just how desperate he was to marry her. When Baijing brought up marriage with her grandmother, her temper flared instantly. She firmly rejected the idea, even questioning whether Liu Longting was forcing Baijing into it. However, before Baijing could respond, Liu Longting stepped forward, his hand possessively wrapping around her, declaring that he loved Baijing and was determined to marry her. Seeing that persuasion wouldn't work, Baijing's grandmother made a drastic move. She pulled out a knife, pressing it against her own neck, threatening Baijing. Panicked, Baijing begged her to put it down, but Liu Longting remained resolute, stating that her approval was secondary. He would marry Baijing, as it was what she wanted. Realizing that her threats had failed, Baijing's grandmother issued an ultimatum. She had to choose between her family and Liu Longting. Baijing's heart wavered. She deeply loved her grandmother, but she also loved Liu Longting, who had saved her countless times, even risking his life for her. She knew her answer, yet she couldn't bring herself to say it. Seeing her distress, Liu Longting stepped forward, lifting her into his arms, and made the decision for her. Without hesitation, he carried Baijing away from the house, leaving her grandmother behind. Outside, he finally put her down and confronted her. Was she actually considering giving up on them? Baijing hesitated, unsure if her grandmother would ever accept their marriage. Liu Longting lifted her chin, assuring her that she would come around soon. After all, she was meant to be his bride. His frustration, jealousy, and love overflowed as he pulled her into a deep kiss. But Baijing couldn't shake her unease, unsure if her grandmother would truly give them her blessing. 2 days later, to Baijing's surprise, her grandmother invited them to dinner, and with a smile, announced that she had given her blessing for their marriage. Baijing was taken aback. Liu Longting had confidently told her that her grandmother would accept soon, but she never expected it to happen this quickly. Noticing Qitian's absence, Baijing inquired about him. Her grandmother casually explained that since this was a family matter, it was better to celebrate among themselves. Raising her glass, she proposed a toast. Baijing, relieved and happy, joined in, clinking her glass with Liu Longting's. However, as soon as she finished her drink, her head became heavy, her vision blurring. She turned to Liu Longting, barely able to register that he, too, was swaying unsteadily before collapsing. As Baijing's consciousness faded, she weakly saw her grandmother looming over Liu Longting with a knife, hatred burning in her eyes. Liu Longting, barely able to move, whispered his last thought. If he couldn't be Baijing's husband in this life, then he would in the next. When Baijing finally woke up, she found herself in an unfamiliar room, lavishly decorated for a wedding. She sat up in shock, realizing she was dressed in a traditional bridal gown. Her mind reeled. Was everything that happened before just a dream? Was this her wedding to Liu Longting? As she struggled to grasp reality, the door creaked open. A man entered, declaring himself as her husband. Her blood ran cold. Baijing trembled, horror setting in as she demanded to be left alone. She tried to kick him, but he captured her foot, announcing that this was their wedding night. He told her that her grandmother had asked him to marry her within 2 days. At first, he had suspected she might have some hidden illness, but eventually he agreed to the arrangement. Baijing struggled beneath him, unable to believe that her grandmother would do such a thing. The man overpowered her, pinning her hand down as he tried to claim her on their first night. Desperate, Baijing began chanting a mantra without pause, but there was no response. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she cried out in anguish, wondering where Liu Longting and Qitian were. She screamed their names, calling for help with all her might. Suddenly, with a loud thud, a snake with multiple heads appeared. A hand gently covered Bai Jing's eyes. It was Liu Longting. He soothed her, telling her not to be afraid, that he was here now. Inside the room, snakes coiled tightly around the man, binding him, while Qitian stood nearby, ensuring he didn't escape. Bai Jing, trembling, threw herself into Liu Longting's embrace. "What would have happened if you hadn't come in time?" she cried, her voice breaking. Liu Longting listened silently, but before he could respond, his human form began to falter. Bai Jing noticed the change and panicked as he slowly transformed back into his original snake form. She quickly picked him up and turned to Qitian for answers. With a scoff, Qitian expressed his frustration. He had warned Liu Longting not to be so aggressive, but he didn't listen, and now this had happened. Suddenly, a massive woman appeared in the room. She was the man's mother, and her voice boomed with fury as she demanded to know who dared to disrupt her son's wedding. Qitian tried to intimidate her, but she laughed off his threats. In the next moment, her form shifted. She was a powerful lion spirit cultivator, having trained for many years. Her arrogance was justified. No one dared to challenge her easily. Qitian's expression grew grim. He warned Bai Jing of the danger and grabbed her, trying to escape immediately. But the woman seized one of his feathers, causing him to scream in pain. Despite the agony and the scratches on his face, Qitian didn't stop. With fierce determination, he flew away, leaving the furious woman behind, clutching a handful of his feathers. As they soared through the sky, Bai Jing worriedly asked Qitian about his injury. He reassured her that it wasn't too bad and would heal soon enough. Her gaze then shifted to the small, weakened form of Liu Longting cradled in her arms. "What happened to him?" she asked, concerned. Qitian explained solemnly, "It's a curse from Yinggu. It drains the essence from the body. Judging by Liu Longting's current state, it looks like his essence has already been mostly consumed." Qitian wondered aloud if this could all be part of Yinggu's plan, but Bai Jing hesitantly shook her head. "It wasn't Aunt Ying," she said softly. "It was my grandmother." Qitian was stunned. For a moment, he couldn't believe it, but then realization dawned. It suddenly made sense why her grandmother had agreed so abruptly to their marriage. It was all a scheme to prevent her from marrying Liu Longting. But something still didn't sit right with him. There was a strange aura surrounding her grandmother, one that wasn't human, nor ghost-like. It was something entirely different. Before they could dwell on the matter any further, noises echoed around them. Turning to look, they saw a group approaching. It was Liu Longting's siblings, the ones Bai Jing had met before at his house. She was surprised by their arrival and asked what brought them there. One of them explained, "We've come to bring our third brother back. It was our second sister's order." Guilt instantly weighed down Bai Jing's heart. She looked down at the small, weakened form of Liu Longting and felt ashamed. I didn't take good care of him," she whispered, hesitating as she handed him over to his siblings. But as she did, remorse consumed her. Was this all because he wanted to marry her? If so, then everything that had happened to him, this weakened state, was her fault. Noticing the sorrow in her eyes, Liu Longting gently curled his tail around her fingers, trying to comfort her and let her know it wasn't her fault. With that silent farewell, his siblings took him and left, returning to their home. Bai Jing stood still, watching them disappear into the distance. She wondered if their second sister would be able to heal Liu Longting, and more than anything, she wondered when she would see him again. Qitian noticed her worry and reassured her, "He'll be all right." Bai Jing nodded slowly, but she also knew she had pressing matters to take care of. Her first task was to terminate the marriage arranged with the tiger spirit disciple. Qitian looked uneasy. "Tiger spirits, they're trouble," he muttered. "If we were in the sky, I'd have no worries. No one's a match for me there. But on the ground..." He trailed off, concern etched across his face. But before his thoughts could spiral further, Bai Jing's eyes lit up with an idea. The next day, she went to visit the river god and explained her situation. True to the promise he had made earlier, the river god agreed to help her. He chuckled lightly, amused that his prediction had come true after all. Bai Jing, watching him smirk to himself, couldn't help but think how none of the gods or fairies around her were even close to normal. Before long, a group of people came rushing toward them. It was the tiger spirit disciple and his mother, chasing after someone. Among them was Qitian, who had transformed into Bai Jing. As they neared, Qitian shouted dramatically, "River god, stop standing there smirking. Help me." Without hesitation, the river god began chanting a mantra. In an instant, hundreds of powerful waves surged forth. The crashing waters created a turbulent storm, heading straight toward the pursuing mother and son. The river god turned to Qitian and warned, "Get out of there, now!" But the tiger mother and her son were still chasing Qitian, mistaking him for Bai Jing. They noticed the roaring waves too late. Before they could retreat, the water engulfed them entirely. At the same time, Qitian shed his disguise and returned to his original form, a phoenix, and flew away joyfully, soaring into the skies. The river god stood firm, his voice cold as he captured both the mother and son, demanding that they hand over the tiger spirit immortal and immediately break the marriage contract with Bai Jing. The man's mother, her arrogance now shattered, quickly bowed and offered an apology to the river god. She claimed she hadn't known Bai Jing was his disciple. In exchange for their release, she handed over the tiger spirit fairy without hesitation. With a stern expression, the river god seized the tiger spirit by the neck. Just as he was about to make his move, Bai Jing stepped forward and interrupted him. "Please," she pleaded, "don't kill him." The river god hesitated for a moment, glancing at Bai Jing. At her insistence, he reluctantly released the tiger spirit. Then he turned to her and asked, "What do you want to do with him now?" Bai Jing thought for a moment and answered, "Let him go. Let the tiger fairy go free." The river god frowned in concern. "Are you sure? What if he returns to his disciples' family and helps them take revenge on you?" The tiger spirit dropped to his knees, deeply grateful for his life and freedom. "To repay this kindness," he said sincerely, "I'm willing to become Bai Jing's disciple." But Bai Jing shook her head gently. "I already have many immortal fairies with me, Liu Longting, Qiqian, and River God," she said. Then she asked the tiger spirit, "Don't you want your freedom?" The tiger spirit sighed, his gaze distant. "I do treasure freedom," he said. 1,000 years ago, the ancestors of the Wang family rescued me from danger. I vowed then to serve their family and have done so for 10 generations. But over time, they grew more and more domineering. It no longer felt right. Understanding the weight of his words, Bai Jing smiled softly. "Then be free," she said. The river god, seeing his disciples' compassion and resolve, finally let the tiger spirit go. However, he gave him a warning. "If Bai Jing ever needs help, you must be there." The tiger spirit bowed deeply and solemnly swore, "I will help her, no matter what." And with that promise, he disappeared into the distance, finally free. At long last, everything came to an end. The marriage contract was annulled, and Bai Jing was finally free of the burden. Just as a sense of peace began to settle, Bai Jing's phone suddenly rang. The screen showed an unknown number. Puzzled, she answered the call. It was Liu Longting's sister. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Bai Jing, I'm sorry, but I have bad news. Liu Longting's condition has worsened. It's critical. Please, come as soon as you can." The phone slipped slightly from Bai Jing's hand as her legs gave out beneath her. She dropped to the ground, unable to control her tears. Qitian rushed to her side, alarmed. "What happened?" he asked urgently. Through her tears, she managed to say, "Liu Longting, he's in danger. We have to go to Mount Changbai, his home." Qitian didn't hesitate. "I'll go with you," he said firmly. But the river god raised a hand. "Wait, it's not suitable for you to go, Qitian," he said seriously. "This is a family matter, something personal. I've already arranged a ride for Bai Jing. She'll reach there quickly." He turned to Bai Jing and wiped her tears. "Stay strong," he told her. "Believe in Liu Longting and believe in yourself." Bai Jing nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "I won't let anything happen to him," she promised. She climbed onto the ride prepared by the river god and quickly set off for Mount Changbai. As she vanished into the distance, Qitian frowned at the river god. "Why didn't you let me go with her?" he asked, frustrated. The river god's expression was calm, yet knowing. "Because some things are beyond our control," he said. "The bond between a disciple and an immortal isn't as simple as you think." Soon, Bai Jing arrived at the Liu residence. As she stepped in, all eyes turned to her. Liu Longyang, Liu Longting's older brother, Liu Liyun, his second sister, and his 2 younger siblings, who looked genuinely happy to see her. Without wasting a second, Bai Jing rushed toward Liu Longting's bed, calling out his name. His second sister gently informed her, "He's been asking for you again and again." Meanwhile, Liu Longyang led the younger children away, giving them space. Bai Jing sat by Liu Longting's side, her hands trembling as she cupped his pale cheeks, trying to wake him. When he didn't respond, her panic grew. Tears streamed down her face as she shouted, "If you want to die and leave me behind as a widow, then fine." I'll marry another man. Still, no response. She continued to cry, calling out his name over and over, until suddenly a hand reached up and rested gently on her head. Why are you crying? Lu Longting's voice was hoarse, but warm. I'm not even dead yet. The moment she saw him awake, Baijing flung herself over him, sobbing even harder now. Why did you have to drink that cursed poisonous wine my grandmother gave you? She cried. Lu Longting, ever calm despite his weakened state, gave a faint smile. How could I refuse a toast meant for our future? Besides, I wanted her blessing. I just wanted you to be happy. Baijing's tears fell harder. It's all my fault, she said, her voice shaking with guilt, but Lu Longting frowned slightly. No, I suspect it wasn't truly your grandmother. Someone else is behind this, someone using her to get to us. Baijing helped him sit up, careful with his frail body. Hold me, he whispered. Without hesitation, Baijing wrapped her arms around him tightly, trying to pour every ounce of her love and strength into the embrace. Lu Longting, resting against her, softly called her name. She bit her lower lip and hummed in response. I love you, Baijing, he whispered. Baijing froze, her eyes wide. It was the first time Lu Longting had confessed his love to her out loud. Just as she was about to answer, his body suddenly went limp in her arms. He had lost consciousness again. She panicked, calling his name desperately, but it was too late. He had slipped away once more. Zhao Daxian quickly stepped in and stabilized Lu Longting's body. He's still deeply attached to this world, he explained. That's why I could preserve his breath for now. But to truly bring him back, we need to restore his real strength. Although Lu Longting's siblings were present, each possessed different powers. Zhao Daxian turned to Baijing and said, You're the best candidate. Baijing was shocked. Me? How can I do this? You're his disciple, Zhao Daxian said calmly. You only need to pass the 7 tricks and release the immortal magic essence stored in your body. I'll guide the essence into him, and he'll revive. Without hesitation, Baijing agreed. She was ready to do anything to save him. They laid Lu Longting's body in the center of the room. Zhao Daxian instructed her carefully. You need to lie above him, aligning all 7 joints. When aligned, I will begin the process to activate each chakra. As each joint activates, the essence will pass into him. Baijing lay over Lu Longting, adjusting her body so that every corresponding joint touched his. Zhao Daxian then began the process, striking the joint points to activate the chakras. With each strike, Baijing felt a bone break. The pain was unbearable. Her body trembled, her breath ragged. Zhao Daxian paused, concerned. You're in too much pain. Keep going, Baijing cried, gritting her teeth. I'm not stopping, Zhao Daxian resumed, striking each chakra point with precision. Baijing screamed in agony, her bones breaking one by one, but she refused to move. The Lu siblings stood nearby, filled with worry and awe at her resolve. At one point, overwhelmed by pain, Baijing instinctively pulled her hand away from Lu Longting's. But realizing the importance of the contact, she forced it back into position, allowing her hand bone to snap in place. She continued like that, enduring strike after strike. Finally, when the 7th chakra was activated, a wave of energy surged through Lu Longting's body. Reaching up, he gently wiped Baijing's tears away. Baijing, unable to move from the excruciating pain, smiled faintly. He was awake. He was alive. Lu Longting sat up slowly and gathered her into his embrace, holding her carefully as if she might break further. He looked over to Zhao Daxian and added, Thank you for saving us. Then he turned to Baijing, his gaze tender. She was overwhelmed with relief, simply grateful that he was alive and in front of her once more. As they locked eyes, affection flowed silently between them. Their moment, however, was interrupted by playful teasing. His younger siblings mischievously covered their eyes and giggled, reminding Lu Longting with exaggerated innocence, Brother, we're still here, you know. Smiling faintly, Lu Longting stood up, keeping Baijing gently wrapped in his arms. Then leave, he said calmly. I need to speak with Baijing alone. Once the others had left and the room was quiet, Lu Longting sat down with Baijing in his lap and began to heal her injuries. He passed his essence into her, carefully mending her broken bones. Baijing relaxed into his warmth as the pain faded, but he could still sense the lingering traces of her earlier suffering. Why did you endure so much pain to save me? He asked softly. Baijing smiled sweetly and replied with mock nonchalance. How could I possibly lose such a handsome man from my side? Lu Longting chuckled, clearly seeing through her lie. Liar, he said gently, though his heart was full. Then, with the utmost care, he laid her down and looked into her eyes. You saved me. Now it's this handsome man's turn to serve his bride. Baijing's cheeks turned bright red. She shyly hesitated as he hovered above her and whispered, "Take it slow. We both just recovered." But who could restrain Liu Longting, now full of affection and longing for the woman who had risked everything to bring him back? As Baijing cried out in the throes of their intimacy, Liu Longting leaned down and teasingly reminded her, "Don't be so loud. Everyone outside can hear." The next morning, Baijing stepped out of the room. Liu Longting was already up, chatting with his sister, Liu Liyun. When he noticed Baijing, he quickly excused himself and slipped away to change clothes. Baijing blinked, confused. Why did he leave all of a sudden? Liyun smirked. "He's just being shy," she said, trying to stifle a laugh. Realization struck Baijing like lightning. Her face turned crimson as she realized everyone had heard the sounds from last night. During breakfast, as the family gathered together, Baijing tried to act casual. "What were you two talking about earlier?" she asked, glancing at Liyun. Liyun sighed and stirred her porridge. "I love my brother," she said thoughtfully, "but he was a total idiot in the past." Baijing tilted her head, puzzled. "What did he do?" Liyun leaned in, her voice lowering a notch. "Before he met you, he fell in love with a married woman. That woman almost ruined his life." Baijing's heart skipped a beat. She recalled how Liu Longting had once mentioned that in the past he liked her. Could the woman Liyun was talking about be her? Hesitantly, she asked, "What did that woman do to him?" Liyun frowned, clearly irritated by the memory. "I don't know how she managed to charm him, but they used to meet in secret. She came from a high-status family and always looked down on him. She never truly cared about him. She only got close to him so he'd help her cultivate. She asked him to go to the mortal world and absorb human essence to boost her power," Liyun continued, her tone laced with disdain. "Also, she could marry another high-ranking man." Baijing was confused. "Why didn't she do it herself?" she asked. From what Liyun described, the woman sounded powerful. Liyun, now fuming, slammed her chopsticks down. "Because sucking human essence is the most shameful thing an immortal can do. If caught, an immortal can be beheaded on the spot." Guilt flooded Baijing. Could that woman really be her in a past life? Trying to keep calm, she hesitantly asked, "What happened after that?" Liyun stood up, her anger boiling over. After that, she kept using him, asking again and again for favors, to save her husband from illness, to go to the mortal world and suck more essence. And after getting everything she wanted, she called him dirty. Trash. I saw it with my own eyes, the way my brother loved her, and she said he wasn't even worthy of her. A memory flashed in Baijing's mind. Liu Longyang once said to her, "He was so dirty." No wonder. Everything made sense now. Confirming her growing suspicion, Baijing asked quietly, "The woman you're talking about, was it Lady Silverflower?" Liyun nodded, her face dark. "Yes, it was Lady Silverflower. When things fell apart, she pushed all the blame on Liu Longting. He nearly lost everything. But then, you were born. A new leader was selected because of your birth, and Liu Longting was spared. That's why I called you his savior." But Bai Jing's mind began to race. According to what I know, she thought, I'm the reincarnation of Lady Silverflower. But if so, why would Babel spare Liu Longting because of my birth? Why appoint a new leader? None of this adds up. A knot of confusion tightened in her chest. Am I really Lady Silverflower reborn? She wondered. And if not, who am I really? Aloud, she said hesitantly, Liu Longting once told me that I was Lady Silverflower in my past life. Shouldn't you hate me for what I did to him? Liyun paused, thinking for a moment. Then she sighed. Yes, I should hate you for being so cruel to my brother back then, but I've also seen the love you have for him now. I watched you endure unimaginable pain to bring him back. You broke your own bones for him. So, now I can only bless you two. It was still confusing. Nothing made complete sense. But Bai Jing was relieved. At least I've done something right in this life, she thought. And in her heart, she made a promise to treat Liu Longting well for the rest of her life. Unbeknownst to her, Liu Longting was standing just outside the door. He'd heard every word. His lips curled into a faint, unreadable smile, or perhaps a smirk. She wanted to treat him kindly in this life? How ironic. Later, they soared through the skies on Qiqian's back, heading out to find Yinggu. Baijing sat with a furrowed brow, her thoughts restless. Do you hate my grandmother for what she did to you? She asked Liu Longting gently. He reached out and patted her head, his voice calm. This wasn't your grandmother. It was Yinggu behind all this. And right now, we need to find your grandmother first. Worry about the rest later. Still, Bai Jing struggled to believe that Yinggu would go to such extremes just to separate them. Her grandmother had always trusted her. Hadn't she? Noticing her concern, Lu Longting wrapped an arm around her and pulled her close. "Don't worry," he said reassuringly. "I'm here. I won't let anything happen to you." Their moment was abruptly interrupted by Qitian yelling, "Hey, can you two quit being so lovey-dovey up there? I found Yinggu's place, but I'm not your private chauffeur. If you're going to keep making out, just get off and fly yourselves." Startled, both Bai Jing and Lu Longting quickly sat up straighter and mumbled apologies. Soon, they descended toward their destination, Yinggu's house. It resembled a haunted house straight out of a ghost movie, dark, ominous, and shrouded in an eerie stillness. They were suddenly surrounded by ghosts summoned by Yinggu to drain the surrounding essence. Lu Longting, assessing the danger, suggested calmly, "Let's try using the result of unlocking your 7 tricks." With fierce determination, Bai Jing nodded. She activated the energy of her 7 chakras, and alongside Lu Longting, launched an attack against the ghosts. Together, they crushed the specters one by one, their combined power wiping the spirits from the area. Once the battle was over, Qitian called out loudly, "Yinggu, come out!" There was no response. Without patience, Qitian struck the door with his energy. The door cracked open, and within, Yinggu was revealed. Her posture was eerie, her smile unsettling as she greeted them with a chilling, "Welcome." As they entered the room, Bai Jing immediately demanded, "Where is my grandmother?" With that same creepy smile, Yinggu replied, "See for yourself, if you have the ability." Bai Jing furrowed her brows. "Why can't I see ghosts yet?" she wondered. "Didn't I already unlock the 7 tricks?" Qitian stepped beside her and explained, "You still don't have all the senses unlocked. Let me help." He expanded her vision ability, and everything shifted. As her spiritual sight awakened further, she finally saw it, Lu Longting, charging toward Yinggu. The battle between them had already begun. The clash of power intensified. Soon, a golden aura burst from Lu Longting's body, shining so brightly it lit up the entire space. His energy surged again as he approached Yinggu with even more strength. Yinggu flinched at the brilliance of his aura, clearly startled. Qitian narrowed his eyes in confusion. "That aura! I've never seen anything like it." Bai Jing looked on, stunned. Did Lu Longting become stronger because of me? But even Qitian didn't have an answer. As Lu Longting moved toward Yinggu again, the lines between battle and something deeper blurred. The golden light intensified, flooding the space. It became so blinding that Bai Jing's vision distorted. She could no longer see anything clearly. The overload became too much. Her body weakened, and she collapsed, slipping into unconsciousness. When she opened her eyes, she found herself back in a room, lying on a soft bed. Around her sat Lu Longting, Qitian, and her grandmother. Her grandmother looked sorrowful. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "Forgive me. I'll never do anything like that again." Sensing the importance of the moment, Lu Longting and Qitian silently stood and left the room, giving them privacy. Bai Jing turned to her grandmother. "Why did you do it? Why make a deal with Yinggu?" Her grandmother looked anxious. "Any family would have been better than letting you marry Lu Longting," she said. "You won't end well with him. He doesn't truly love you." She looked Bai Jing in the eye and pleaded, "Leave him. Weren't you just fine before without him?" Memories of Lu Longting lying unconscious on the verge of death came flooding back. Bai Jing shook her head firmly. "No, I'm not leaving him." Her grandmother's expression tightened. "Then at least, stop those night activities. If he truly loves you, he shouldn't be so obsessed with such things." That night, as Bai Jing lay beside Lu Longting, her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. Why did she bring that up? She turned toward him, wanting to speak, but hesitated. Before she could say a word, Lu Longting reached out and gently grasped the hand she had been inching toward him. "Can't sleep?" he asked softly. She hesitated, then confessed, "My grandma, she thinks you don't love me." Lu Longting's face was unreadable. "What do you think?" he asked. Bai Jing turned away from him, her voice calm. "It doesn't matter if you love me or not, because I love you," she confessed. Lu Longting wrapped his arms around her from behind and murmured, "But how can you be happy with one-sided love?" He reached for her chin, turning her face to meet his. With a soft brush of his lips against hers, he whispered, "I won't let you love me in vain. I love you too." As he leaned in further, Bai Jing stammered, "But my grandma said we should stop." But Lu Longting was unmoved. "So what? You like it, and I like it. It's our business, no one else's." The next day, they all arrived at a divine city known for its temples and spiritual exhibitions. That very morning, Baijing had received a request from her friend, Wang Hong. He'd asked Baijing for help in exchange for a handsome payment, claiming there was a need to eliminate demons. Tempted by the offer and driven by curiosity, Baijing agreed. As they entered the city, Baijing noticed several people carrying statues. Curious, she turned to Lu Longting and asked, "Are these gods?" Lu Longting glanced at the procession and calmly explained, "Not quite. That's actually a ghost, but it was so fierce and powerful that the locals began worshipping it like a god." Still trying to grasp the concept, Baijing looked back at one of the statues. Suddenly, its eyes snapped open, red and terrifying. Startled, Baijing screamed in fear. Qitian waved a hand dismissively, unfazed. "No need to panic," he said lazily. "Everything here is made of paper." However, Lu Longting added seriously, "Though many of the statues are of gods, not all of them are clean." Qitian chuckled and teased Baijing. "How can you still be scared after becoming a lady yourself?" Embarrassed, she defended herself. "It felt like someone was watching me, like a pair of eyes were staring right at me." Qitian grinned. "Maybe you're hallucinating because you stayed up too late last night with Lu Longting." Baijing turned beet red, while Lu Longting interrupted. "We've arrived. This is the city fair." It was Baijing's first time attending such a lively festival, and her excitement showed. They walked through bustling streets, enjoying small games, buying toys, and indulging in lavish street food. Baijing even snapped a few selfies with Lu Longting, cherishing the moment and making sweet memories. Soon after, Wang Hong appeared, apologizing breathlessly for being late. "Sorry. After 8 tonight, the exhibition will start. That's when someone will begin carrying the statues." Confused, Baijing asked, "Wait, don't we need to exorcise any ghosts? Is there someone among them?" Wang Hong quickly reassured her. No. We already banished the evil spirit this morning. Only good gods will appear tonight." Relieved, Baijing beamed. "So, we don't have to do anything and still get paid?" As night fell, the announcement was made, and the exhibition began. People carrying the statues emerged one after another, parading down the street. Crowds gathered on both sides to watch in awe. But Qitian's expression grew serious. "Something's off," he murmured. "These statues, they're empty." Baijing blinked. "Empty?" Qitian explained. "Every god resides in a statue. Even if they don't live in their temple and only come to collect incense, there should still be a sub-god placed inside. But these, they're hollow." Wang Hong, surprised, said, "They gather incense to answer people's prayers." Qitian frowned, clearly annoyed. "How can they fulfill anyone's requests when there isn't a single god present?" Wang Hong was shocked. "That's not possible." Lu Longting, who had remained quiet, suddenly spoke. "Then what did you banish this morning?" Caught off guard, Wang Hong hesitated, then answered, "It was a fierce ghost. We've dealt with it before." Baijing turned to Lu Longting, worry creeping into her voice. "Are the statues really empty?" Lu Longting's eyes narrowed. "They're not empty. There's something else inside." He then turned to Wang Hong. "Why did you call Baijing for help? Did something happen before?" Wang Hong hesitated again before replying. "Every year, a few people die mysteriously. What's strange is that all of them look pale, completely drained of blood. But still, the temple fair becomes more and more prosperous every year. No one ever withdraws." Lu Longting pieced everything together. "These aren't gods. These are ghosts feeding on people's essence. They've replaced the rightful temple gods, and those people who died, that was the price they paid to have their wishes fulfilled." Baijing clenched her fists. "Can we take them on? Kick them out?" But Lu Longting shook his head slightly, his gaze grave. "The villagers' minds have been controlled. If we attack recklessly, we could hurt innocent people." He paused, eyes scanning the crowd. "For now, we wait. Let's see how this unfolds." That night, Baijing lay in bed, exhausted from the day's travel. Meanwhile, Lu Longting stood by the window, silently observing the situation outside. After a while, he turned to Baijing and asked, "What did you see this morning?" Casually, Baijing replied, "They looked like human eyes, but dark." Lu Longting fell silent, deep in thought. Then, without warning, he asked, "What do you think of Qitian?" Startled, Baijing hurriedly tried to clear things. "We're just friends," she said quickly. "There's nothing to worry about." But Lu Longting didn't respond. He simply turned and began leaving the room. "Wait, really, it's nothing," Baijing called after him, but he brushed it off with a vague excuse about having some work to do, then disappeared through the door. Baijing stood there, confused and frustrated by his sudden change in behavior. Angry, she made a decision. If Lu Longting was going to act this way, she would have dinner with Qitian instead. Out on the streets, she and Qitian walked side by side, casually eating food and enjoying the local night market. Amid the chatter and lights, Qitian suddenly said, "I saw Yinggu earlier." Baijing's eyes widened. Didn't Lu Longting already finish her off? She disappeared quickly. Qitian replied, "But don't worry, I'm here with you." Then he added with quiet conviction, "If anything happens, even if I die, I'll protect you." Baijing felt warmth spread through her chest. She truly felt lucky to have Qitian, not just as a powerful immortal, but as a loyal and sincere friend. But just as she smiled, something shifted in the air. She froze. That same terrifying eye from before appeared again, glaring at her from nowhere. A sharp pain seized her body, and she collapsed, groaning as everything went dark. When Baijing opened her eyes, she found herself back in her room. She tried to move, but her limbs were paralyzed. It felt like her essence was being drained from her. Lu Longting stood beside her, his expression grave. "It's that ghost," he said. "It's draining her essence." Qitian sat there, concern etched on his face. As long as people keep believing in these false gods, their mana is endless. We need to find a real god to replace the evil spirit and regain their trust. Then, Qitian turned to the others. "Everyone, please leave the room. I need to speak with Baijing alone." Once they left, Qitian began to chant a mantra, the room filled with powerful energy. Baijing, weak and barely conscious, looked up and saw the glow surrounding him. Her eyes widened in realization. Tears streamed down Qitian's cheeks as he turned to her. "Didn't I say I wouldn't let anything happen to you, even if I die?" he said softly. "To save you, I'm cutting our immortal bond." Baijing's heart dropped. Qitian continued, "I used to blame myself for being a coward, but not anymore." He gave her a final look, one filled with sadness and determination. With a heavy heart, he whispered goodbye, then turned into his original form, a radiant phoenix, and soared away into the night. Baijing wanted to say so much, to call out to him, to beg him to stay, but her body was too weak, and even the words "don't go" refused to leave her lips. Later, Lu Longting helped her up and brought her to witness the coronation ceremony. Outside, people had gathered in celebration. Dressed in traditional attire, they danced and performed around the god statue. The atmosphere was joyful and festive. Suddenly, a magnificent phoenix burst through the sky, bathing the area in golden light. The sight drew awe from the entire crowd. The phoenix flew directly toward the god statue and struck from above. With a powerful thud, the evil spirit statue shattered into pieces. In its place, Qitian appeared, now in his divine, human god form. The crowd gasped, then bowed deeply in reverence. With great ceremony, they brought forth a crown and offered it to him. When Qitian placed it on his head, he officially became the city god. Baijing, now recovered, stood beside Lu Longting in the crowd, watching with glistening eyes. She wanted to run to Qitian, to thank him, to embrace him, but Lu Longting gently stopped her. "If you go now, it'll only make the parting harder. For both of you." From afar, Qitian looked at her one last time and smiled softly, wishing her happiness with his eyes. Baijing couldn't hold back anymore. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Lu Longting pulled her into a quiet embrace, holding her close as she cried. And with that, Qitian gave up his opportunity to ascend to heaven, all for Baijing. Now, as the city god of Earth, he could no longer roam freely, but on the 25th of every month, they would meet again. One day, a man arrived at Baijing's residence. He politely explained that he had come to seek her help. Baijing recalled Lu Longting had previously mentioned someone might come to her with a request. She gave the man a nod to continue. The man looked troubled. "At my home, things have started disappearing. I think it's the work of some evil demon," he said seriously. "Please, I need your help. Money isn't an issue." Baijing, thinking it over, handed him a talisman. "Stick this in the room where the disturbances are happening," she instructed. "Let's observe first." He thanked her and left. As he walked away, Baijing sighed to herself. Why do people keep showing up with such strange requests? Still, she believed it was her duty to help, but she also questioned, was the disappearing act really caused by a demon? She'd have to wait for Lu Longting to confirm it. Not long after, Lu Longting arrived, carrying a cake box in his hands. Baijing blinked. "A cake?" she asked, surprised. "Why are you being so nice lately?" As he removed his coat, Lu Longting raised an eyebrow. "Are you saying I treated you badly before?" Baijing fell into thought. Ever since Qitian had left, Lu Longting had indeed become more attentive and gentle. She recalled how, even back at the hotel, he had mentioned her connection with Qitian, as if he already knew that Qitian would leave that very day. Lu Longting walked up behind her and gently wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, his voice low and close to her ear. "Nothing much," she said casually, brushing the thought aside. With a knowing smile, Lu Longting took out another small box from his pocket and handed it to her. "I have another gift for you." Curious, Baijing opened the box and gasped. Inside was a large, sparkling diamond ring. Unconsciously, she reached out to pick it up, but before her fingers could touch it, Lu Longting caught her hand and turned her to face him. He held her gaze as he said, "This ring, it's my responsibility to put it on my bride's finger." Then, with utmost tenderness, he slid the ring onto her finger. Baijing's heart fluttered, joy radiating from her as she admired the ring. "You've got good taste," she said, smiling brightly. Lu Longting raised her hand to his lips and placed a soft kiss on the back of it. "It's as pretty as you are," he teased. Baijing laughed. "Don't lie." But before she could say anything more, he leaned forward and silenced her with a kiss, slow, gentle, and full of emotion, savoring the moment between them. A few hours later, Baijing and Lu Longting arrived at the man's house. Just as he had described, the room was unnaturally empty. Lu Longting suspected it was the work of an ordinary spirit and asked to borrow the house for 2 days. The man, desperate to fix the problem, agreed without hesitation. After he left, Baijing complained, why stay here when their own home was more comfortable? Lu Longting asked if she really didn't feel anything strange. At first, Baijing shook her head, but as she concentrated, her senses picked up on the eerie energy in the air. Demon energy. Her body trembled. She didn't want to see any more scary things. Lu Longting casually crushed a small demon spirit that had been lurking nearby and handed it to Baijing to sniff. The moment she smelled it, her expression changed. It smelled like the mountain god. Lu Longting confirmed it. These ghosts weren't stealing for themselves. They were making sacrifices for the mountain god. Later, as they sat discussing the situation, Lu Longting explained that the mountain god was not a deity formed from human belief. His origin was unknown, and his true form even harder to guess. Lu Longting had once brought him down from power, and if he recovered, he'd surely target him first. But until then, while he remained weakened, this was their chance to act. Baijing recalled something terrifying. She had already seen signs that the mountain god had recovered. Maybe he was even stronger than Lu Longting now. Fear crept in, but she also believed in Lu Longting's strength. As his partner, she would follow him no matter what. Suddenly, she remembered seeing missed calls from Yinggu. Worried, she asked if Lu Longting might have been tricked or hurt, but he reassured her, "As long as you trust me, that's enough." That night, they both drifted into sleep. But in the darkness, a ghostly hand reached toward Baijing. In an instant, a female ghost lifted her into the air, intending to offer her as a sacrifice. Lu Longting woke and immediately entered Baijing's body with his spirit energy. He whispered to her. The ghost was too stupid to know what to steal, so they should let her lead them to find the mountain god's lair. Eventually, the ghost threw Baijing to the ground. As she looked around, she saw the area swarming with small demons. They were making offerings, strange objects, valuables, animals, and even humans. Baijing trembled at the sight, but Lu Longting urged her to stay calm. "This is the mountain god's territory now. We wait for the right time to act," he said. "He wants me dead, but he won't kill you." Moments later, the mountain god appeared, just as they expected. When he saw Baijing, he was surprised, but pleased. However, his expression quickly turned wary. If Baijing is here, could Lu Longting be nearby? He wondered. Baijing hesitated, then denied it. "No, I was brought here alone by a ghost." The mountain god chuckled darkly. "Perfect. I know your kind husband will come to save you." With that, he gave the order. "Put her in the water prison." Baijing was taken by 2 ghostly subordinates to the dreaded water prison, a dark, eerie place not far from the mountain god's main domain. Lu Longting's voice echoed in her ears as he explained that this area was within 100 miles of the mountain god's stronghold, close enough for him to use the chance to search for something. But for the plan to work, Baijing had to stall for time. Fear gripped her. What would the mountain god do? He was mad. To ease her anxiety, Lu Longting transferred his essence into her. "This will protect you until I return," he assured her. Then, in his original snake form, he slithered away into the night. Left alone, Baijing was mercilessly tortured by the ghosts who tried to extract information from her. But she said nothing, loyalty to her husband unshaken. Later, the mountain god appeared, furious. When he saw that his underling's torture wasn't working, he snapped. "Try another method," he ordered. He then narrowed his eyes and guessed that Bai Jing had Lu Longting's essence protecting her. "One last time," he said coldly. "Where is Lu Longting?" "I don't know," Bai Jing answered dully. The mountain god's patience snapped. With a cruel smile, he pointed to a horrifying snake-filled pool and threatened, "If you won't answer, I'll toss you into that. They're just like your beloved snake, aren't they?" Bai Jing gulped as her eyes widened at the writhing mass of disgusting snakes, but still she refused to speak. Annoyed, the mountain god hurled her into the pit. At first, she hoped Lu Longting's essence would shield her, but it didn't work. The snakes slithered around her, coiling and constricting her body, strangling her. Her breath began to slip away, and her vision blurred under the pressure on her throat. The mountain god stood watching, expression unreadable. Then, after a moment, he reached in and pulled her out, mumbling to himself, "Lu Longting will come sooner or later anyway." Bai Jing collapsed in pain and nausea, throwing up from the experience. Just then, a snake arrived, Lu Longting in his original form. The mountain god smirked, gripping Bai Jing by the chin. "Tell me, aren't you afraid?" he taunted her. "Living every day with a venomous snake? Just like the ones that almost killed you." Lu Longting, rage flashing in his eyes, growled, "Let her go." Between the coils of his tail, he revealed a glowing red energy entity, a mysterious power he brought back with him. "If you don't, we die together." The mountain god flinched. "You really brought that here?" From the sidelines, Bai Jing watched, shocked. Is that the weapon Lu Longting found to counter him? But the mountain god scoffed, cursing at him. In the next second, he lunged, gripping Bai Jing by the throat and throwing her high into the air. "Let's see what's faster, your tail or my hands." Lu Longting's eyes widened. "Bai Jing!" He twisted, shooting upward, tail stretched out, and caught her midair just before she hit the ground. Meanwhile, the mountain god vanished with a smirk, escaping the scene. Back on the ground, Lu Longting gently unwrapped Bai Jing, but her face twisted in discomfort. "What's wrong?" he asked, noticing her expression. "I'm just tired," she said, brushing it off, avoiding the real reason. The slimy sensation from the snake still clung to her skin. Later at home, Bai Jing soaked in a warm bath, scrubbing herself over and over, but the disgusting, slippery feeling still lingered. The trauma wouldn't wash off. Suddenly, the door opened, and Lu Longting entered. Without a word, he stepped behind her and wrapped his arms around her shoulders. Still in the tub, Bai Jing hesitated. Lu Longting, sensing something off, narrowed his eyes. "Are you avoiding me?" "No. I just wanted to bathe first," she mumbled. But Lu Longting wasn't convinced. He turned her gently but firmly to face him, possessiveness in his gaze. "You're my bride," he declared, "and only mine." Then, leaning in, he kissed her, deeply and fervently. But in Bai Jing's mind, flashes of the snake pit haunted her. The way the creatures had wrapped around her body, she still couldn't shake it off. A few days later, Bai Jing's grandmother voiced a serious concern. If Bai Jing is carrying Lu Longting's child, she could die from it. Bai Jing firmly pushed back. There was no way she'd die just like that. Besides, she believed she was the reincarnation of Lady Silverflower. But her grandmother was far from convinced. "Whatever Lu Longting says, you believe it too easily," she snapped. Right in the middle of their heated argument, Lu Longting arrived. Fuming, the grandmother turned to him directly and challenged him. "If Bai Jing really is the reincarnation of Lady Silverflower, prove it. Maybe then she'll return to her old body." This time, Lu Longting didn't back down. He brought them to a sealed, hidden place, Lady Silverflower's resting ground, where her coffin had been kept all this time. Standing before the coffin, Bai Jing's grandmother demanded proof. But before Lu Longting could proceed further, Bai Jing intervened. "None of that matters to me," she said. "Even if I'm not Lady Silverflower, I want this child. I want to be with him." Yet Lu Longting was determined. Some truths must be revealed. With a chant and a talisman, he activated a ritual. Blue energy filled the chamber, and fog began to swirl around the coffin. Moments later, the coffin opened. Inside was a corpse identical to Bai Jing. Lu Longting turned to Bai Jing's grandmother and said, "You wanted proof. Let Bai Jing enter. If she's the real Lady Silverflower, then you must back off, and never interfere in our future again." With fierce determination, Bai Jing stepped forward, climbed into the coffin, and lay down over the body, matching its pose exactly. The moment she did, a radiant energy surged through her. She had become one with Lady Silverflower. Her grandmother stood frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. Desperate, she tried to make an excuse. This must be because she's carrying your child. Baijing sat up slowly. I feel fine, just my stomach is a little uncomfortable. Liu Longting, seated beside her, gently explained. That's because, in your past life, you weren't pregnant. Our child is another soul within you. Still reeling, her grandmother collapsed to the ground, muttering, Impossible. Liu Longting picked Baijing up into his arms. Before leaving, he looked at the old woman coldly. Keep your promise, and don't bother us anymore. Back when they faced the mountain god, Baijing had almost resented Liu Longting. But now, after this, she realized she was becoming truly inseparable from him. Later at home, the family doctor came to check on her. After examining her pulse, he gave good news. Baijing and the baby were healthy, but she needed plenty of rest. And then came his final advice. Restrain yourselves from certain activities. Baijing's face turned bright red. She immediately buried her face in her hands. With a chuckle, the doctor vanished, leaving the couple alone. Liu Longting turned to her, grinning. Why are you blushing? Peeking between her fingers, Baijing whispered, I just can't believe our family will grow in a few months. I haven't even prepared any clothes for the baby yet. And you told me they might be born either as a snake or a human. To lift Baijing's spirits from the incident with her grandmother, Liu Longting brought her out for a casual date. The two looked like a young, charming couple, drawing attention and admiration wherever they went. Baijing, full of smiles, asked him to take a photo of her. But when she saw the result, her face dropped. You're terrible at this, she grumbled. Trying to win her back, Liu Longting smiled gently and asked her to teach him. Before she could respond, something caught her eye in the crowd nearby. Without a word, she grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the commotion. They pushed through the crowd and discovered the source, an animal show led by a young woman who bore a striking resemblance to Yinggu, but looked much younger. A man in the crowd tossed money at the woman and requested a somersault from the animal. The young-looking Yinggu, holding a whip, lashed a small trembling fox, ordering it to perform. The fox, clearly terrified, tried and failed. Unmoved, she struck it again. This time, with a cry of pain, the fox succeeded. The crowd erupted in applause and laughter, unaware of the cruelty. Then, Yinggu pulled out a talisman and turned to the crowd. Is a somersault fun? You know what's really fun? Watching a fox turn into a human. She slapped the talisman onto the fox's head, and in a flash, the little creature transformed into a beautiful young man, eyes full of sorrow as he looked at her. The crowd gasped in horror and began to scatter. Liu Longting stepped forward, warning her. Aren't you afraid of the karma you're gathering by torturing spiritual beasts? Yinggu smirked. Still better than hypocritical immortals. Baijing watched, stunned. Wasn't she defeated before? How is she back and younger? As if reading her mind, Yinggu revealed the truth. I absorbed the fox's essence to regain my youth. She chuckled bitterly. Love makes people blind. I once fell for filth, just like you. Her voice turned cold as she grabbed the foxman's ear, pulling him cruelly. I gave this man everything. Loved him with my whole heart. He never took me seriously. Bonds between immortals and disciples, they never end well. She turned to Baijing. Next is your turn. Baijing snapped. I'm not like you. But Yinggu only laughed. You feel bad seeing me treat immortals like this, don't you? But I couldn't care less. With a mischievous gleam, she dropped a bomb. Your precious immortal husband-to-be, Liu Longting? He's involved with another woman. Then, with a wink, she vanished, leaving behind chaos and a seed of doubt. Baijing turned to Liu Longting, her eyes searching for answers. But he stood still, lost in thought. He hadn't fully defeated Yinggu back then, and now with the fox essence, she was growing stronger, targeting more immortals. He had to act fast. Breaking the silence, Baijing raised her voice. What did she mean by another woman? Are you cheating on me? Liu Longting looked at her with unusual seriousness. Now's not the time for that. We need to find someone who can help us see the bigger picture. The next day, Liu Longting suddenly asked Baijing if she remembered the woman who once proposed marriage to him at Mount Changbai. Baijing thought for a moment, then it hit her, the noble concubine. Before she could react further, Lu Longting revealed, "From today, she'll be living with us." As if summoned by magic, the elegant noblewoman appeared, this time dressed in modern clothes, suitcase in hand. Bai Jing's expression darkened immediately. It was obvious the woman still had feelings for Lu Longting. The lady greeted him sweetly, her eyes lingering with affection. Bai Jing clenched her fists, but told herself to stay calm. "I'm the hostess of this house," she reminded herself. "I need to be generous." But then, the noblewoman turned to her and casually asked for water, as if she were a maid. Bai Jing stared in disbelief, pointing at herself. Did she seriously think I'm the maid? The lady quickly laughed it off, apologizing, claiming Bai Jing's cheap clothing caused the confusion. That was it. Bai Jing could no longer stay calm. But before the tension escalated, Lu Longting stepped in, wrapping an arm around Bai Jing and introducing her firmly. "She's my fiancée. We're getting married soon." The noblewoman merely smirked. A human and an immortal, quite the unusual match. Later, the woman asked what was for dinner. Lu Longting suggested ordering takeout, but Bai Jing insisted on cooking. While Lu Longting and the lady chatted, Bai Jing prepared the meal herself and politely served it. One bite, and the lady frowned. "It's awful." Lu Longting apologized, explaining that he usually did the cooking. Bai Jing's still learning. The lady smiled slyly. "Then, could you cook for me? Noodles would do, anything tasty." The air between the two women turned icy. A silent battle line had been drawn. Lu Longting stood up wordlessly and walked into the kitchen, unreadable. Bai Jing was livid. She just got here. And now my man is cooking for her? The noblewoman looked down at her with arrogance. "If you can't even handle basic housework, don't blame me if he ends up with someone better." Bai Jing snapped back. "No need to act so righteous. He's only close to you because he needs your help." With that, she stormed out, only to walk straight into Lu Longting's chest as he returned with a bowl of noodles. He looked at her, concerned. "What's wrong?" Bai Jing suddenly asked. "Do you love me?" His eyes briefly flicked toward the noblewoman. He immediately understood. She repeated, more vulnerable this time. "Do you love me?" Lu Longting assured her. "Of course I do." Then Bai Jing asked, "Then can you throw her out? No one but me can help you with the Yinggu situation." Lu Longting sighed. "The Liu family can also resolve it, but we're running out of time. Once this is over, she'll leave." Bai Jing looked like she wanted to argue again, but Lu Longting gently stopped her. "Don't you trust me?" His voice was soft now. "No matter what's happening, you love me, don't you?" And just like that, he had coaxed his little wife again. Bai Jing dropped her resistance and buried her head in his embrace. Over her shoulder, Lu Longting's gaze turned cold. His sharp eyes locked on the noblewoman, sending a clear warning. Even after everything, the noblewoman did not stop. She continued targeting Bai Jing, pressing her again and again, wanting to completely break her heart. The next day, she went even further, openly telling Bai Jing that once Bai Jing died because of the child she was carrying, she would naturally be the one staying beside Lu Longting. But Bai Jing fought back without fear. She reminded the woman that her child was not ordinary. It was an immortal spirit fetus, and she herself was the reincarnation of Lady Silverflower. There was no way she would die from childbirth. These words only fueled the woman's irritation further. In a moment of madness, she grabbed a knife from the table and slashed her wrist, using her blood as a tool to test Lu Longting's heart. She wanted to see who was truly more important to him, Bai Jing or herself. When Lu Longting returned home, the noblewoman had already staged the scene. She stood there, wounded and fragile, playing the victim with fake innocence. She claimed that it was because she had angered Bai Jing that she was hurt like this. Lu Longting turned to Bai Jing, who sat quietly near the window, looking outside, unwilling to explain herself. But his questioning words made her turn back, not with tears, but with burning anger. His doubt was clear. He believed the woman's act. He even asked Bai Jing to apologize if she had indeed hurt the woman. But Bai Jing's fury exploded. She could not believe he could stand there and ask such a thing. Lu Longting, who had never seen this side of her before, became cold, insisting that no matter what happened, a guest should never be treated like that. This sentence shattered Bai Jing's already wounded heart. For her, this was not about right or wrong anymore. It was about his trust in her. She questioned him directly. Was that woman more important to him than herself? But Liu Longting replied calmly. This wasn't about importance, it was about principle. Baijing's heart ached. Unable to control her emotions any longer, she grabbed a pillow and threw it at him, shouting that he should just stay with the woman then. And without looking back, she ran out of the house, tears falling from her eyes. Liu Longting stood there for a long time, calling her name softly, regret in his voice. Behind him, the noblewoman smirked. Her plan had succeeded. Baijing ran through the streets, her heart filled with sorrow and anger. She reached the riverside, feeling completely helpless. If only Qitian was here, he would have believed her, stood by her and protected her. But Qitian could not leave the city now. Left with no other choice, Baijing used the spell given by the river god. And soon the river god appeared, this time in a fierce female form, clad in armor, having just returned from battle. After hearing Baijing's story, the river god's expression turned icy. Without hesitation, he grabbed her hand, determined to take her back home and confront the woman who had bullied her. When they arrived back at the house, Liu Longting was still not home. The river god confronted the noblewoman without mercy. The woman, knowing she was weaker, immediately knelt and begged for forgiveness, claiming everything was a misunderstanding. But the river god, filled with fury, didn't believe a single word. The woman cursed in her heart, hating that Baijing had managed to pull such a strong card by summoning the river god. If only she were stronger, she would have finished them both. As the confrontation unfolded, Liu Longting finally returned, having searched everywhere for Baijing. Seeing the scene, the noblewoman immediately rushed to him, throwing herself into his arms with fake tears, complaining about being bullied. Liu Longting stood there, confused, not even hugging her back, but still asking genuinely if she was badly hurt. The woman continued to pretend, saying it was her fault for getting hurt so badly. Watching this scene, Baijing's anger exploded once more. She tried to strike the woman in fury, but the river god caught her hand, preventing her from doing something reckless. The woman, however, continued her act, showing her injury to Liu Longting, clinging to him pitifully, asking for his help. But Liu Longting's eyes, even as the woman clung to him, remained fixed on Baijing. There was sadness in his gaze. The river god, still in his majestic female form, countered coldly. How could anyone accuse them of bullying? After all, standing here, they were just good sisters, nothing more. The noblewoman gritted her teeth in anger, turning to Liu Longting, demanding how he could stand silently and allow her to be humiliated. But the river god sneered at her naivety. He reminded her harshly, Liu Longting was the father of Baijing's child. How foolish of her to think he would ever take her side. It was clear from the start that he was only using her. The noblewoman's pride shattered. She turned desperately to Liu Longting, begging for a place by his side, promising that she would do anything for him. But Liu Longting's response was chilling. He asked if she would even be willing to give her life for him. Stunned by his question and realizing the truth that she was nothing in his heart, the woman finally snapped. Cursing him viciously, she left, defeated. Liu Longting turned his cold gaze to the river god, ordering him to leave. But the river god gave him a sharp warning. If this happened again, if Baijing was hurt or humiliated once more, he would personally take her away from Liu Longting. A silent but dangerous clash of power filled the space between the two immortals. Baijing, caught between them, tried to ease the situation, but the river god was firm. With a final warning, he left. The moment the river god disappeared, Liu Longting's expression changed completely. Without a word, he pulled Baijing down onto the sofa, laying her across his lap. His hand landed on her gently at first, then with firm, slow spanks. This was her punishment, for seeking help from another man instead of coming to her husband. Each strike made Baijing flinch, her voice catching in a mixture of pain and embarrassment. Tears welled in her eyes as she warned him that she would report him for domestic violence. But Liu Longting only chuckled. He turned her to sit on his lap, wrapping his arms possessively around her waist, pulling her tightly against him. If she was going to complain about him, then shouldn't he also report her for cheating? With a small sob, Baijing threatened to complain to Qitian. Even the river god was better than Liu Longting. But her words only made Liu Longting raise his brow dangerously. Talking about going to another man again? She lightly punched his chest, blaming him for making her like this, all because she liked him too much. And even the river god was in a female form. How could he accuse her of going to another man? Liu Longting calmed her down, reminding her softly that she was pregnant. She shouldn't get emotional like this. Then, more seriously, he explained his plan. His original intention was to deal with Yinggu completely, then pass her cultivation to that noblewoman so Baijing wouldn't have to be involved or endangered. Everything he did was for her and their child. But now, everything was ruined. That plan could no longer succeed. With a sigh, Liu Longting decided it was time to return home, to Changbai Mountain. The next day, they arrived at Changbai Mountain. His siblings welcomed them warmly. Liu Longting's sister quickly teased him, asking Baijing if he was bullying her. She reminded them that Liu family had very strict rules for men who mistreated their wives. As Baijing stayed with the younger siblings, Liu Longting was called aside by his second sister. Her expression was grave. She informed him that Yinggu was now going around, pretending to be from the Liu family, killing people and tarnishing their name everywhere. Meanwhile, Baijing was enjoying the lively chatter of the younger siblings. One of the little sisters excitedly told Baijing that her palm reading skills had improved and asked if she could read Baijing's hand. Baijing happily agreed. The girl took her hand, her eyes scanning the lines carefully. Then, with a bright smile, she revealed a joyous piece of news. Baijing was carrying a baby girl. Baijing was surprised, wondering if it could really be true. But before she could celebrate further, the little girl's expression suddenly darkened. In a hesitant, almost fearful voice, she warned Baijing. There was ruin in her future, within a few months, and there was danger to her life. Baijing calmly reassured the little girl. She was the reincarnation of Lady Silverflower. Nothing would happen to her. But the little girl explained that she had seen this same palm line before, on her third brother. With her current skill, she couldn't see more details, but Baijing had a tuning point in her fate line. Perhaps her teacher could help. Blinking in surprise, Baijing asked about the teacher. The little girl nodded eagerly. Her teacher was highly skilled and insisted they should go and visit him. The little girl led Baijing deep into the quiet mountains behind Changbai, her steps light with excitement. They arrived at a hidden cave where a man clad in ancient clothing sat cross-legged in silence. The moment his eyes met Baijing's, he requested her to become his disciple. Baijing, confused by his sudden request, asked if he knew her. The man calmly explained that she did not know him, but he knew her long before this meeting. In his possession was a mirror, one that could see everything in the world. And strangely enough, Baijing's face often appeared within it. A chill ran down Baijing's spine, fearing whether he had been spying on her all along. But the little girl assured her with innocent sincerity that the man was a good person. The man smiled and asked the little girl to go pick tea leaves from the mountain so that he and Baijing could have tea together. Trusting him, the little girl obediently ran out, promising to return soon. As the girl left, Baijing questioned him if he had any hidden matters he wanted to discuss that required sending the child away. The man, calm as ever, replied that there were no secrets, only truths that should not burden a child's ears. He was once powerful, not much weaker than the legendary Lady Silverflower, but had been sealed here after being falsely accused. If Baijing would become his disciple, he promised her unimaginable power, even the ability to rule the world. But Baijing had no interest in such power. She was already pregnant, her heart filled only with the desire for a peaceful life with her child. The man sighed with regret at her rejection. Still wanting to help in any way, Baijing offered to assist him if there was another way. His eyes brightened as he suggested. If she tore the talisman on the cave door, his seal would break, and he would be free. Wanting to help everyone and trusting his words, Baijing approached the large talisman plastered on the entrance. Without hesitation, she tore it down. In an instant, the seal shattered. The man, finally free after so long, laughed in exhilaration, vowing to seek revenge on the one who had sealed him. Curious, Baijing asked who had sealed him. The man replied with an ominous tone, "It was done by the only phoenix in the world." Baijing froze. The only phoenix. It could only be Qitian. Before she could stop him, the man surged out of the cave, his power overflowing, thanking Baijing for granting him freedom. Baijing stood there, realizing too late that she had unintentionally placed Qitian in grave danger. Soon, the little girl returned, confused by what had happened. Back home, Baijing searched for Lu Longting and his sister, but could not find them. Even Qitian was out of reach. Every immortal seemed unreliable at a moment like this. Suddenly, Qitian answered her call. Before Baijing could explain the disaster she had caused, Qitian happily praised Lu Longting, sharing the news that Yinggu's crimes, using the Lu family name for evil deeds, had all been exposed by Lu Longting. Now, everyone was after her. Baijing quickly understood this was what Lu Longting's sister had been discussing earlier. He had deliberately kept her uninformed to protect her. Remembering her urgent reason for calling, she asked Qitian if he remembered sealing anyone behind Changbai Mountain. Upon learning that she had released the sealed man who was now coming after him, Qitian had no chance to respond. In that instant, Lu Longting's younger sister called Baijing in panic. Lu Longting had been defeated and imprisoned. The second sister wanted Baijing to find a way to save him. The phone slipped from Baijing's hand. The two responsible for Lu Longting's imprisonment were none other than the mountain god and the man with the mirror, both of whom she had helped. The little sister blamed herself, feeling guilty for bringing Baijing to her teacher, the man with the mirror. But Baijing comforted her, telling her it wasn't her fault. They now needed to find Lu Longting's location. The little girl, still sobbing, explained that her teacher could build barriers that made it difficult to trace someone's aura. But Baijing suspected that if it was the mountain god involved, the location might be where the ghosts had taken her before. Without wasting time, she headed deep into the woods. Soon, the mountain god appeared from the shadows. Baijing demanded him to return Lu Longting to her, but the mountain god grabbed her throat coldly, mocking her audacity to make demands of him. Dragging her to his newly built temple, he proudly showed off the place. But to Baijing, it was no temple, only a place conjured by his dark powers. The mountain god sneered at her desire to know her husband's whereabouts. He promised to grant that wish, but in a way that would break her. With his power, he drew a magic circle before her. In an instant, she could see Lu Longting, bloodied and tortured, enduring unspeakable pain. Her heart ached at the sight. She pleaded with the mountain god, reminding him that she had helped him regain his body, so why was he set on killing Lu Longting now? But the mountain god was resolute. Lu Longting had offended him, and for that, he could not forgive. Worse, he intended to humiliate Baijing in front of him, to cause Lu Longting even greater pain. As part of his cruel plan, he bound Baijing's hands in chains, hanging her helplessly, and shackled her legs to prevent any movement. He dragged Lu Longting to the very spot, forcing him to watch the woman he loved suffer. This was the mountain god's revenge. The mountain god's cruelty knew no bounds. As his foot mercilessly crushed Lu Longting's head against the cold ground, the man with the mirror finally arrived. Calmly, he asked the mountain god to stop this madness. But the mountain god, blinded by arrogance, refused his request without hesitation. For him, this was not the time to show mercy. He declared that he would release them, but only after he had finished playing with them. With twisted satisfaction, he reached toward Baijing, tearing apart her sweater, seeking to further humiliate her in front of Lu Longting. But before he could continue, a ghost subordinate appeared in haste, reporting that the Lu family had arrived, and with them, many immortals from various ancient and powerful animal clans. True to the report, waves of immortals appeared, surrounding the area. At the front stood Lu Longting's sister, Lu Liyun, her aura sharp and commanding as she demanded the release of her brother and Baijing. But the mountain god remained fearless. To him, they were nothing but ants, trash beneath his feet. Unknown to him, Lu Liyun's younger sister had already planted her essence within Baijing, allowing them to track her exact location even through the Mirror Man's barrier. Still, the mountain god's arrogance did not waver. The past fear he once held for the Lu family no longer existed. Confident in his newly gained power, he launched an attack, releasing waves of black energy that surged towards the immortals. Before they could fully comprehend what it was, the energy had already begun consuming their life force, weakening them rapidly. Next, his cold gaze fell upon Lu Liyun herself. He targeted her without mercy. Though she tried to dodge, her speed could not match the incoming strike. But in that moment, a radiant phoenix feather shot through the sky, clashing with the black energy, scattering it with its brilliant light. Shock spread across the mountain god and the mirror man's faces. Both were momentarily confused, but recognition soon dawned upon the mirror man. It was the phoenix, and joy flickered in his eyes. This was the moment he had waited for, to finally take his revenge against the only phoenix in the world. As expected, Chitian arrived, his figure descending like divine light. But he was not alone. Standing beside him, unscathed, was Lu Longting. Their appearance sent a wave of disbelief across the field. The mountain god could hardly comprehend it. Lu Longting explained with calm certainty, the snake that had been in the mountain god's grasp all this time was nothing but a puppet. Without waiting for formalities, the mirror man attacked him directly. But Chitian, swift and powerful, dodged effortlessly, retaliating with equal might. On the other side, the mountain god once again charged at Lu Longting, and the battlefield erupted into fierce combat. Meanwhile, Bai Jing, still hanging in chains, watched everything unfold, her heart heavy. Once again, she was the one being protected. Once again, Lu Longting, Chitian, everyone was fighting and bleeding because of her. And this time, she did not want to be the weak one. As that desperate determination surged within her, a miracle happened. A beautiful figure descended, a woman clad in ancient robes adorned with ethereal jewels, her aura noble and divine. It was Lady Silverflower. The chains that bound Bai Jing shattered without warning, falling away like fragile dust. Gasps spread throughout the battlefield. Lu Longting's eyes darkened with worry for Bai Jing, but every immortal present lowered their heads, recognizing the supreme presence before them. Even the mountain god and the mirror man stilled, showing rare respect. Lady Silverflower stood with grace and authority. She declared with quiet power that all sins were born from greed, and so everything born from it would vanish here and now. With her spell, a blinding light enveloped the entire battlefield. When the light faded, no one remembered the chaos that had occurred. No one knew if it had truly been Lady Silverflower or some other deity. Everything returned to its calm, unbroken state. The only thing left was the quiet anticipation of new life, waiting for Bai Jing to give birth to her child. 1 month later, Bai Jing called out to Lu Longting, annoyed that they were about to be late, all because they had stayed up too late the previous night. But Lu Longting responded with calm confidence, reminding her that their client had no choice but to wait patiently for Lady Immortal Bai. Still flustered, Bai Jing pulled his hand, rushing him forward in a hurry. Behind her, Lu Longting followed, worriedly reminding her to take it slow, mindful of her pregnancy. And like that, their peaceful days continued. Together, facing new ghost mysteries, solving spiritual cases, and walking forward hand in hand through their new life.